Swap, the campus Belle let me use her body unconditionally. Chapter 1, Waking Up as the Campus Belle. Qiu Chen was in a daze. The moment he opened his eyes, he found himself on the edge of the third-floor rooftop. His hand gripped the railing, and one of his feet was already hanging over the edge. With just a little more force, the other foot would follow, and he would fall. Fear surged through him, straight to the top of his head. Usually calm and composed, he suddenly panicked, instinctively letting out a scream like a little girl. R. R. The first scream came from sheer terror. The second one was also out of fear. However, it wasn't because of acrophobia. Qiu Chen realized that his voice had become thin and sharp, sweet-sounding, almost like a girl's. He gripped the railing tightly and lowered his leg. Then, he stepped into the third-floor bedroom. In front of the mirror, Qiu Chen looked at his face and the nightgown wrapped around his body. At that moment, he was stunned. He clearly remembered that he had stayed up all night playing games in an internet cafe, so how did he wake up to find himself turned into a girl? Not just any girl, but one he knew. The body he was now inhabiting belonged to Unconditionally, the campus Belle of Qiu Chen's school. What is going on? Qiu Chen muttered, raising his hand and moving it upwards, touching something. Is this a dream? But why does it feel so real? Just then, the phone rang. He fumbled on the bed and found his phone. Looking at the familiar number, Qiu Chen answered the call. Who are you? Who am I? A weak voice came from the other side. Whose body are you in now? Unconditionally. What's going on? Unconditionally's voice sounded frail on the phone. I don't know. Qiu Chen returned to the mirror, staring at his reflection. He was as confused as Unconditionally sounded. Unconditionally let out a desperate cry. For the first time, Qiu Chen felt embarrassed by the squeaky, high-pitched scream coming from his own throat. Could you please stop making such strange noises with my body? Qiu Chen protested through the phone. I don't want to either. Unconditionally's voice, now coming from Qiu Chen's body, made him want to punch himself in the face. Hearing their voice on the other end, Qiu Chen glanced at his reflection in the mirror wearing a nightgown. Frustrated, he grabbed his hair. But instead of the short, clean hair he expected, he found smooth, long locks. Forget it, let's talk face to face. It's hard to explain over the phone. Unconditionally spoke up, when you go downstairs, try to speak gently. If you feel you can't keep it up, just apologize and run. Apologize? Qiu Chen didn't understand her meaning. Why apologize? Yes, let us meet at school. And don't peek at my chat history. I'm not interested. Qiu Chen frowned, and don't open my apps secretly either. Boys' phones often have hidden apps that aren't meant to be seen by others. While they might not use them often, they can't be uninstalled because it would be frustrating to not find them when needed. I'm not interested. After hanging up, both of them started getting ready. Suddenly, a message popped up on Qiu Chen's phone. It was from a friend named CC. He instinctively opened it and typed back, "Here." Realizing what he'd just done, Qiu Chen quickly locked his screen. Pretending he hadn't seen it, he placed the phone down and took a quick look around the room. It was filled with a faint fragrance, and the wardrobe contained a variety of clothes. Then, he noticed a pleated skirt and a light blue top beside the bed. If Qiu Chen remembered correctly, these were the clothes Unconditionally had worn yesterday. After putting on the clothes and washing up, he grabbed his backpack and headed downstairs. Upon reaching the first floor, Qiu Chen found no one around. Wu Tilder. He exhaled, preparing to unlock the door with facial recognition. Suddenly, a stern female voice sounded. Unconditionally, where are you going so early? Qiu Chen turned around and looked toward the source of the voice. She had chestnut brown curly hair that cascaded naturally over her shoulders, a delicate and elegant makeup accentuating her features, and especially that wine red lipstick lightly applied to her lips. Her unfamiliar appearance and stern tone gave off an unspoken sense of oppression. Her eyes narrowed slightly, silently locking onto Qiu Chen. Qiu Chen swallowed hard. For some reason, even though it was their first meeting, he felt an instinctive fear emanating from his body. Unconditionally was scared. I have something to do at school, I need to go back. Sorry, Mom, see you tonight. Qiu Chen, remembering Unconditionally's earlier advice, quickly apologized and ran. Qiu Chen fled, leaving Nzijian's mother standing alone in the living room. She frowned, sensing that something was strange with Nzijian today. On their way to school, Qiu Chen opened the map on his phone. He wasn't worried about Nzijian finding the school because yesterday, Qiu Chen had spent the entire night playing games at an internet cafe right across from the school. As long as Nzijian wasn't too sleepy, she would just need to look up and see the school. About 10 minutes later, Qiu Chen arrived at the school entrance. At that moment, Nzijian was already waiting there. Seeing his original body, Qiu Chen walked over. What's going on? I don't know. Nzijian shook her head, then noticed that she was wearing a skirt. You haven't been up to anything bad, right? She remembered that she had worn a nightgown before going to bed yesterday. Qiu Chen looked down at his toes. Instead of answering Nzijian, he asked another question. Is there nothing inside? Chapter 2, to shower or not to shower tonight? What do you mean? Nzijian was stunned. What did you do? Nothing, just felt the wind blowing, it's a bit strange. Actually, it felt rather cool. On a scorching summer day, there was nothing more refreshing than a cool breeze. First of all, I'm wearing leggings under my skirt. Secondly, you put on these clothes yourself this morning. You must be feeling weird because it's your first time wearing a skirt, right? Maybe. Qiu Chen looked down, trying to figure out what material the leggings were made of. It was 6 a.m., and there were hardly any people outside the campus. Only a few street vendors setting up stalls for pancakes. Moreover, Qiu Chen and Nzijian were in a relatively inconspicuous spot, so no one was paying attention to them. Bang! Just as Qiu Chen lowered his head, a punch landed hard on his back. Hiss! Qiu Chen sucked in a sharp breath. This is your body, don't blame me if you break it. To be honest, girls' bodies are generally more delicate. Nzijian didn't control the strength of her punch well, and it left Qiu Chen's back sore. You dared to look. But you said you were wearing leggings. Even with leggings, it's not okay. Nzijian raised her fist, glaring fiercely at Qiu Chen. As if to say, if you dare look, I'll punch you again. By the way, what should we do if we don't switch back today? Qiu Chen changed the subject. I don't know. Nzijian lowered her fist, looking exhausted. I don't even know how I became like this. Qiu Chen's body was already tired from staying up all night gaming, and Nzijian's body was naturally weaker. Combined, she felt terrible. Then, should we shower tonight? Qiu Chen scratched his head and asked a crucial question. Though he was lazy about many things, he was meticulous about showering usually twice a day. Nzijian's expression changed multiple times. She went from red to pale, and then looked at Qiu Chen with a distressed look. Look at me, I don't have any other choice. Qiu Chen shrugged, instinctively pulling out his phone. But as soon as he unlocked it, he realized this wasn't his phone. What are you doing? Don't look at my phone. Nzijian quickly reacted and lunged forward to grab the phone from Qiu Chen. I just wanted to check the time. Qiu Chen said. He had no interest in reading Nzijian's chats with her friends. It was rumored that girls' chats could be explosive, so intense that they could bring someone back to life just to delete a single message. Nzijian had her own circle of friends, so she must also have those kinds of private chats. You can't look at my chat history. I'm not interested. Qiu Chen glanced at the time. It was 6:44 a.m. Just as he was about to lock his phone, a message popped up on the screen. It was from a friend named CC, with several messages for Nzijian. Don't look. Seeing Qiu Chen's instinctive move to tap on it, Nzijian panicked. She lunged at Qiu Chen, quickly knocking him onto the ground. Now that Nzijian was using Qiu Chen's body, she wasn't exactly strong, but she was still much stronger than her own body. Qiu Chen looked calmly at the person lying on top of him. From a different angle, looking at his own body up close, it actually didn't feel that bad. But Nzijian, who was on top of Qiu Chen, was not calm at all. Because she had always been physically weak, her hands were icy, as if frozen. She grasped her own hand, staring at her own face, a face she knew too well, and her heart raced uncontrollably. Qiu Chen, however, was thinking about something completely different. For the first time, he felt the strength of his own body. It was powerful enough to pin someone down without them being able to lift their head. Of course, it might also be because Nziji's body was too frail. Staring at the face of herself, Qiu Chen finally understood why people often called him pretentious behind his back. Sometimes, it wasn't about what you did, just having a clean, cheerful face was enough to make others think you were arrogant. Qiu Chen fixed his gaze directly on Nzijin. More precisely, he was looking at himself. But to Nzijin, it didn't feel the same. She felt uncomfortable under his intense stare. You pushed me down, and now you're embarrassed. Nzijin snapped, regaining her senses. She grabbed the phone, let go of Qiu Chen's wrist, and stood up. She then sat elegantly on the stone bowl near the school entrance. Her posture was graceful, her legs neatly together, her hands resting naturally on her knees. Qiu Chen, now standing up, patted the dust off his pleated skirt. Trying to mimic Nzijin's posture, he also sat on the stone bowl, though with his legs crossed. Guys sit with elegance and delicacy. Girls are more casual, with a carefree attitude. They exchanged a glance, both simultaneously saying, "Sit properly." After the moment of mutual understanding, silence followed. It wasn't easy to change habits that had been ingrained for years. Qiu Chen didn't mind, he was used to living day by day. One more day, one less day. But he wasn't sure what Nzijin was thinking. Do you have any suggestions? Qiu Chen asked. Boys are supposed to be decisive. But now that Qiu Chen was in Nzijin's body, he thought he should ask for her opinion. If she had no opinion, then Qiu Chen wouldn't either. Besides, it would be interesting to see what the life of the campus Belle was like. I don't know. Nzijin sighed. I just hope that after sleeping tonight, this state will end. Let us hope so. Let us go eat. I'm starving. Oh, and your mom is really scary. For some reason, when I saw her, my heart started racing. Yeah. Nzijin seemed unwilling to discuss this further. Let us go. This was Nzijin's first time in a man's body, and she was still adjusting to it. Qiu Chen didn't wait for her. He slung his backpack over his shoulder and walked ahead. Looking at Nzijin, who was half a head shorter than him, she took a deep breath through her nose. Was it fate? She suddenly felt as though she had been reborn. There was a new light in her eyes, and every breath she took felt clearer and stronger. Since body swapping had already happened, there was no point in thinking about strange things. First things first, food. With that thought, Nzijin caught up with Qiu Chen. On August 24, 2023, Qiu Chen walked side by side with Nzijin, still uncertain about what would happen next. Little did he know, this day would completely change his life. Due to the body swap, Qiu Chen and Nzijin became friends. In a more dramatic sense, the wheels of fate had begun to turn. Chapter 3, Sister-in-Law. Qiu Chen and Nzijin had half an hour left before meal time. As they walked toward the canteen, people around them couldn't help but stare at Qiu Chen and Nzijin. Nzijin was well known, the recognized #1 school beauty. A small group of girls also recognized Qiu Chen. They often discussed which boy was the most handsome, and Qiu Chen was a frequent topic of conversation. Both boys and girls, upon seeing them together, were filled with curiosity and gossip. That person looks like in school beauty. Is it possible that Nzijin? Xia, look. Your idol is with Nzijin. How did my in-school beauty end up with that guy? Boys and girls continued to gossip, some cracking jokes, some shedding fake tears, while others pinched their noses in disbelief. Damn. Just as Qiu Chen and Nzijin were about to reach the canteen, a chubby boy suddenly rushed up to Qiu Chen. Chen Ji, what are you doing? Women only mess with your ranking. Do you still not understand why you lost all night yesterday? Wang Tong lowered his head, as though confessing, if I had known, I wouldn't have left you alone in the internet cafe. I was planning to bring you breakfast so you could sleep a little longer. But when I went to get food, you got tempted by that bad woman, Nzijin? Though Wang Tong always hoped Qiu Chen would wake up and find a girlfriend, he didn't really want Qiu Chen to start dating. That's a different matter. What if no one played games with Wang Tong in the future? Bad woman. Nzijin looked confused, turning to Qiu Chen. She had never been in a relationship or had a boyfriend, so how had she become a bad woman? Oh. Wang Tong, classmate, Qiu Chen said, noticing Nzijin's gaze. Since he was using Nzijin's body, his voice sounded soft and feminine. Wang Tong, I have some things to talk over with Qiu Chen. Thanks for bringing the breakfast, but we'll talk when Qiu Chen returns. Qiu Chen needed to stop Wang Tong from talking too much. Otherwise, all the little secrets between the boys would be spilled. Sister-in-law. Wang Tong didn't expect Zijing to speak up for his buddy. She was so protective of her man. Once again, there was a clear line between business and pleasure. If Qiu Chen really started dating, Wang Tong would be happier than anyone. I'm Wang Tong, Chen Ge's good friend, he introduced himself. And Zijing? Qiu Chen. Wang Tong, I think you've misunderstood. There's nothing between me and Qiu Chen said, trying to clarify. Wang Tong nodded vigorously. I understand. You understand nothing. Qiu Chen knew his buddy well. From Wang Tong's eyes, it was obvious he had no clue about what Qiu Chen was saying. Sister-in-law, Chen Ji may be handsome, but don't worry, he's not the type to use you and then throw you aside. On the contrary, Chen Ji is a bit slow with his feelings, so you'll need to be patient. Don't worry, from now on, I'm your family. If Chen Ji bullies you, I'll help you beat him up. Wang Tong rambled on, mostly complimenting Qiu Chen. But Qiu Chen had a strange feeling listening to this. He wanted to punch Wang Tong. Wang Tong, it's not like you think. Qiu Chen and I are just here to. Qiu Chen tried to explain. And Zijing interrupted, continuing, discuss studies. Studies? Yes. Qiu Chen nodded. Qiu Chen's physics grades aren't very good. As his physics class representative, I'm helping him out, giving him some guidance to lighten the teacher's load. Is that so? Wang Tong looked at Qiu Chen. Yes. And Zijing, using Qiu Chen's body, nodded indifferently, showing no particular interest. Her expression was exactly the same as Qiu Chen's usual one, as if she had studied him carefully and was now mimicking his behavior. She looked as though she had been molded from the same mold. I see. Wang Tong scratched his head, feeling something wasn't quite right but unable to pinpoint why. But it was true that Qiu Chen's physics grades were bad. He had only scored 12 points in the last mock exam, failing miserably. All right, then. Wang Tong leaned toward Qiu Chen and nudged him with his elbow, whispering, Chen Ji, good luck. Try to win over in school beauty as soon as possible. Don't forget our agreement. See you, Chen Ji. See you, sister-in-law. And class representative. And Zijing sensed something was off in Wang Tong's words. Win over in school beauty as soon as possible. Don't forget our agreement. Qiu Chen and Wang Tong seemed to have made some sort of deal, but she couldn't directly ask Wang Tong what that deal was. After all, Qiu Chen knew about it, but right now, and Zijing was in control of Qiu Chen's body and was unaware. What did he say to you? Qiu Chen asked curiously. It turned out Wang Tong liked to speak loudly, even when discussing secrets that shouldn't be overheard by others. Qiu Chen had warned him before, if they needed to whisper, they should do so quietly. That way, no one else would overhear their conversation. It was just that the one random thing said in their youth had, years later, come to strike Zijing in the heart. Nothing. And Zijing chose to keep it a secret. Seeing that Zijing didn't want to say more, Qiu Chen didn't press her further. As they looked around, more and more students were whispering and glancing at them. He realized that more rumors about the two of them would probably spread soon. In the canteen, Qiu Chen and Zijing discussed a few rules. First, since the body swap had happened, they would have to live as the other person for the time being, until this strange situation ended. Second, they must not expose their true selves or do anything that would go against the other person's personality. They should try to maintain each other's relationships as much as possible. Third, they could not commit any illegal acts using the other's body, and they must not argue with their parents or insult others. Fourth, no peeking at the other's body unless special circumstances arise. Fifth, it was strictly forbidden to use the other's body to date or take advantage of the opposite sex. These 5 rules were what Qiu Chen and Zijing had agreed upon. Especially rule number 5, taking advantage, which was particularly easy to overlook between same-sex friends, but it had to be banned. You'd better not secretly mess with my best friend, Zijing said. I'm more worried about you messing with Wang Tong, Qiu Chen retorted. Shut up. Chapter 4, Their Weak Body. To be honest, girls have really small stomachs. After buying a Rujiamo Chinese meat sandwich and a bowl of porridge, Qiu Chen was already full and couldn't eat any more. In fact, there was still a small bite left of the Rujiamo in his hand. If it were his usual self, he could easily finish 2 Rujiamos in one go. What's even more ridiculous is that now he felt like his body was full, but his spirit was still starving. Qiu Chen looked at the Qiu Chen across from him, exhaling lightly. He had never imagined that one day he would watch himself eat. Although he didn't care much about his image, the way Zijin ate in his body was too ladylike. To be blunt, wasn't he this a bit effeminate? Do you want some grilled skewers? She asked. Grilled skewers. Qiu Chen glanced at his arm, white, smooth, and soft. For some reason, just the thought of greasy grilled skewers made him lose his appetite. Must be because of this body. He shook his head slowly. Eating grilled skewers this early in the morning? That's way too greasy. If you want to eat, I will. Consider it helping you nourish your body, and Zijin replied. I feel like you just want to eat and I'm making up an excuse. You're absolutely right. And Zijin bought grilled skewers. She ate them recklessly, seemingly because she was in Qiu Chen's body, so she didn't have to worry about her image. Ladylike. That idea was thrown out the window the moment she started devouring the skewers. Moreover, she had always wanted to eat grilled skewers this badly, but her own body's condition didn't allow it. Her original body had a sensitive stomach. Eating greasy food would upset her stomach. This carefree, consequence-free eating experience felt amazing to Zijin. For the first time, she felt that eating could be so enjoyable. Usually, her friend Cici would joke about wanting to be a man in the next life. If it weren't for the rules, she'd want to tell Cici no need to wait for the next life, I've already become a man in this one. And one who still retains his original memories. Qiu Chen stared at himself eating for a while and finally couldn't bear it anymore. He stood up and looked at Zijin, asking, I'm going to buy some cold drinks. What do you want to drink? I'm not drinking anything. All right. Most school cafeterias have small shops that sell snacks. In the scorching summer heat, with the sun beating down on the earth, drinking an ice-cold beverage would be incredibly refreshing. Better than any kind of gelato. Qiu Chen originally wanted to buy a canned drink, but since so many students were buying drinks today, all the cans were sold out. He bought a bottle of Sprite and alternated holding it in both hands as he returned to the table. The bottle of Sprite was cold, and Qiu Chen put it down to rub his hands together. Girls really have delicate, soft hands, which don't tolerate the cold well at all. After warming up his hands, Qiu Chen was ready to twist the cap open. The problem arose. Qiu Chen couldn't open the bottle cap. The cap was too wet and slippery, making it impossible to apply any force. He realized that many girls struggle to open bottle caps not because they lack strength, but because of the friction issue. Still, Qiu Chen couldn't accept that a grown man like him couldn't open a bottle cap. Wasn't this the same as being called a sissy in front of others? He wiped his hands on the pleated skirt to dry them. Then, he gripped the cap tightly and tried again. Still couldn't open it. And Zijin's palms were strange. They naturally secreted a slippery substance that made it difficult for Qiu Chen to apply enough force, no matter how hard he tried. Want me to help you? Seeing Qiu Chen struggle, his face contorting in frustration, and Zijin teased. Qiu Chen looked up and met Zijin's gaze. You're so weak tilde, she teased, stretching the word out. Qiu Chen countered, what if it's actually you who's weak? With a pop, Zijin easily twisted the cap off the bottle. But I opened it for you, she said. You're using my body, Qiu Chen replied. Now it's mine, she retorted. Her words sounded strange, but there was nothing wrong with them. I can tell. Your body seriously lacks exercise. It's too weak, Qiu Chen remarked. When had he ever needed someone else to open a bottle for him? From a boy's perspective, it might seem weak, but from a girl's perspective, this body is actually pretty strong, and Zijin replied. Without handing the Sprite back to Qiu Chen, she took a big gulp. She might have suddenly thought of something, or maybe she just didn't like the comment about her body being weak. Anyway, before Qiu Chen could react, Zijin had already downed the drink with a few gulps. Didn't you say you weren't drinking? I was drinking for your body. Qiu Chen was speechless. Can you stop coming up with so many excuses? Gulp. Zijin wiped the corner of her mouth with the back of her hand. This is what it feels like to drink a cold beverage in summer, huh? You boys really live the good life. Qiu Chen didn't respond. He just quietly looked at the remaining Sprite in her hand. Seriously speaking, the body Zajin was using was his own, so he didn't mind drinking something he had already consumed. So, that little half bottle of drink. What are you trying to do? Noticing Qiu Chen's gaze, Zajin quickly covered the bottle with her hand, making sure he couldn't touch it. It's mine. You bought it with my phone. I want to drink Sprite. Girls get fat if they drink Sprite. Zajin explained, and my stomach isn't great. Greasy or cold food upsets it. You wouldn't want to spend all your time in the girls' restroom, right? Qiu Chen looked at his own body, and the distaste was clear in his eyes. Looking at it now, his original body was actually better. Zajin noticed the look in Qiu Chen's eyes but didn't care because she was using his body. Compared to her previous one, this body felt much more comfortable. Being a boy is still the best. It was now 7:55 a.m., with 5 minutes left until class. At this time, the cafeteria was practically empty. Fewer people meant fewer rumors. In such a suffocating Chinese high school, gossip was one of the few ways students could unwind. After leaving the cafeteria, Zajin asked, "What's your daily routine like?" "Sleep, chat, play games, read novels, basically anything but study." Qiu Chen finished speaking and suddenly realized he didn't know much about Zajin. While they were still in each other's bodies, he needed to maintain her social relationships. "What about you? What's your daily routine?" "Read books, do exercises, listen to English listening, memorize English compositions." "A good student." "Well, I'll listen to English listening later." Qiu Chen had already decided what novel he was going to listen to. The God of War returns to find his daughter living in a dog's den. In a fit of rage, 70 million warriors come to his aid. Before heading back to the classroom, Qiu Chen and Zajin swapped phones. On one hand, Zajin's phone didn't have any games, while Qiu Chen's only had games. The first class was a self-study class, and when Qiu Chen sat down at Zajin's desk, he was ready to put on his headphones and listen to a novel. At that moment, his deskmate suddenly tapped his shoulder. "What are you doing?" Chapter 5, Need to use the bathroom. As soon as the words left his mouth, Qiu Chen immediately realized something was off. He was currently playing the role of Zajing, and Zajing usually spoke in a very soft and gentle tone. Qiu Chen cleared his throat twice, slowed his pace, and tried to express the softness of a young girl's voice through his words. "What's wrong?" Not only that, he had to maintain a serious face and keep himself in a perpetual smile. Honestly, this was exhausting. He couldn't understand how Zajing managed to do this day in and day out. The girl he was talking to was Zajing's deskmate, and she had the classic Chinese schoolgirl bob haircut. Qiu Chen didn't have much of an impression of her, to the point where he couldn't even remember her name. And Zajing hadn't introduced her to him, nor had she explained how he should interact with her. They stared at each other for a while. The girl felt that Zajing seemed a little strange today, while Qiu Chen was struggling to maintain his smile. It turned out that forcing a smile was harder than he thought. Finally, when Qiu Chen could no longer hold it, the girl spoke up. "Zajing, can you accompany me to find the teacher?" "What's going on?" Qiu Chen wasn't quite sure what was happening. "I was late this morning, and I need to hand in my self-reflection." Late? Qiu Chen hadn't noticed. It was possible, but his attention had been elsewhere this morning. Millimeter. Qiu Chen nodded. Then, he accompanied the girl to the teacher's office. He didn't go inside. He was used to being scolded, but Zajing wasn't. He couldn't let her body be scolded like that. Qiu Chen didn't know why her deskmate wanted him to come along. It wasn't like he could help with anything. About 10 minutes later, the girl came out. "Let's go, Zajing. Thanks for accompanying me." "No problem." Qiu Chen shook his head, still unsure of her intentions. Back in the classroom, he put on his headphones. He took out Zajing's math notes and began to make random guesses about the problems. Meanwhile, Zajing was also feeling restless. She had agreed to Qiu Chen's idea of spending self-study time sleeping, playing games, or reading novels, anything but studying. She really wanted to sleep, but it had been so long since she last slept during self-study class. The strange thing was, even though her body was exhausted, her mind felt wide awake, making her feel both sleepy and yet unable to fall asleep. Forget it. If she couldn't sleep, it would be a waste of time just lying there. She pulled out her phone and prepared to play a game. And Zijing didn't have many games she played, but Happy Match was one of them. Chen Ji, you stayed up all night last night and you're not tired. You still have energy to play games. Wait, when did you change to an Apple phone? Wang Tong, her classmate, looked shocked. Didn't we agree to all use Iku Dandan? This isn't mine. Oh. I sent my phone for repairs, and the shop owner gave me this one to use for now, and Zijing lied. Oh, I see, Wang Tong said, pulling out his own phone. Chen Ji, let's play King of Glory. No, I'll play a small game for now, and Zijing said, showing him the Happy Match download screen. If she remembered correctly, Qiu Chen often liked to show off his screen to Wang Tong. Right. Wang Tong, with a knowing look on his face, said, the Android and Apple versions aren't compatible, so let us team up when your phone is fixed. Millimeter hum. And Zijing nodded. Just as she opened Happy Match, Wang Tong leaned in and whispered, Chen Ji, why do you look so weak today? You seem kind of frail. You didn't do anything bad with your girlfriend behind my back, did you? Wang Tong felt that today's Qiu Chen was completely different from yesterday. Today, Qiu Chen seemed drained and weak, almost as if he had been playing games all night. Even after an all-nighter, Qiu Chen shouldn't look this frail. Wang Tong felt perfectly fine himself. No, and Zijing shook her head, actually, Qiu Chen and I don't have any kind of relationship. I didn't say anything about an campus flower, Wang Tong shrugged. I just said your girlfriend. I never said in campus flower. Chen Ji, you're giving yourself away. And Zijing, being a top student with high emotional intelligence, quickly thought of a solution. Don't tell me you have other girlfriends, she asked, countering. Forgot about the girl in the class next door. What girl? This question was more for Zijing's curiosity. She had never heard that Qiu Chen had any secret connections with girls from other classes. That 170 girl. 170. And Zijing had no memory of any girl in the next class who was 1.7 meters tall. Yeah. And what is her name? 1.7. Wang Tong's expression turned strange. Chen Ji, I meant 170 pounds. And Zijing. When Wang Tong said this, and Zijing remembered. There was indeed a chubby girl in the next class, but she was like Wang Tong. Though Wang Tong was also chubby, he was tall. Now that Wang Tong had said this, and Zijing understood he was just messing with her, trying to link her with Qiu Chen. Chen Ji, I believe you don't have any relationship with an campus flower, Wang Tong winked, his expression full of disbelief. And Zijing didn't respond. She took the remaining bottle of Sprite and drank it in one go. As soon as the Sprite hit her stomach, it felt like it gave her a subtle boost of energy, which quickly made its way to her bladder. She needed to use the bathroom. Chapter 6. I'm dirty. I don't know if it's because I drank too much. Anyway, and Zijing really wants to go to the bathroom now. If I had known, I wouldn't have taken the last sip. Although there may not be a direct relationship between them. Boys are different from girls. Most girls have toilet diplomacy, while only some boys have toilet diplomacy, and the other part prefers to go to the bathroom alone. So, and Zijing felt that Wang Tong would not find anything unusual if he went to the bathroom alone. But. And Zijing took out his phone and sent a message to Qiu Chen. The latter didn't reply. He has been studying in Zijing's notes. Of course, he is not studying the contents of the notes, but studying how a person can write so beautifully and neatly. Seeing that Qiu Chen didn't reply, and Zijing sent him exclamation marks crazily. Qingyu, Qiu Chen. Qingyu. 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 Qiu Chen was imitating handwriting when he suddenly felt his desktop vibrating. He took out his phone and looked at the message interface. Qing Chen, what's wrong? Qingyu, I want to go to the bathroom. Qing Chen, let's go. Qingyu, puppy crying. GIF. Qingyu, then I'll go. Qing Chen, there's not many people during class, just find a separate cubicle. After thinking about it, Qiu Chen sent another message. Qing Chen, try to help, otherwise it's easy to dirty your clothes. Qing Chen, also, I usually like to use one hand. Qiu Chen believes that Zijin will definitely not understand this sentence. However, when she can practice it, she will definitely understand it. This kind of thing, you may not understand it even if others say it 10,000 times. This can be regarded as a combination of theory and practice. Get out of class is about to end. Qiu Chen turned off his phone and prepared to go out for a while. The longer he stayed in the classroom, the more uncomfortable he felt. Not to mention that after class, other students might come to chat with Zijin. Although Qiu Chen is not easy to deal with, he can run away. Dingling tilde tilde. The moment the bell rang, Qiu Chen stood up and was about to walk outside. Just then, the monitor walked towards Zijin. Zijin, the physics teacher wants to see you. The physics teacher wants to see me. Qiu Chen nodded. Okay, I'll go right away. It's very simple to imitate a girl's speech. You just need to add an interjection after the sentence, such as lar, ya, har, da, etc. Zijin is the representative of the physics class. The teacher is looking for her to assign or collect homework, or to arrange the next course. Qiu Chen knocked on the door and walked into the physics teacher's office. This is the first time he came to the physics teacher's office in the form of finishing homework. Usually, he came in to be scolded. Zijin, haven't you collected all the physics papers I asked you to collect yesterday afternoon? The physics teacher pushed his glasses and got straight to the point. I have collected them, teacher. I'll bring them to you later. Qiu Chen remembered this incident. Yesterday afternoon, in the last class, Zijin was collecting physics papers. Only one student in the class hadn't finished writing them, and that was Qiu Chen. Even Wang Tong had finished copying them. Qiu Chen was going to copy one in the evening, but Wang Tong invited him to play games in the internet cafe. Qiu Chen thought that it would be in time to copy them earlier in the day. Then, Qiu Chen forgot about it. However, what Qiu Chen didn't understand was why Zijin hadn't handed in the collected papers to the physics teacher. Did he forget like himself? Who hasn't finished writing? No, teacher, Qiu Chen hasn't finished writing. After hesitating for a moment, Qiu Chen chose to report Qiu Chen. Since he was in the third year of high school, he was often complained by Zijin homework was not finished, papers were not finished, etc. Now, the situation has changed. Qiu Chen can finally report Zijin. Qiu Chen. The physics teacher frowned. Why is it him again? This kid is actually quite smart, but after entering high school, he became unwilling to study, and I don't know why. You know, his high school entrance examination score is higher than yours. Listening to this, Qiu Chen was rarely silent. Among many teachers, the physics teacher is the one with the best temper. Maybe because she is older, and she is about to retire, she usually sees Qiu Chen and other students as if she sees her own grandchildren. Perhaps it is precisely because of this reason that the physics teacher is particularly caring for everyone, including poor students like Qiu Chen, who is afraid that her students will become bad and go down the road of no return. Even on the eve of the college entrance examination, the physics teacher will not give up poor students. On the road of learning, she will not give up any student who falls behind. Whether it is a student pretending to sleep or a student who has already fallen asleep, she will help him on their way forward. Originally, Qiu Chen stood in front of the physics teacher and listened quietly to the physics teacher's muttering and admonition, and then he didn't hear it in his heart at all. Of course, it is still the same now. His habit is that he can punish people by standing or writing, he can be scolded or beaten, but he just doesn't say anything and never guarantees anything. A tall man of 1.85 meters stood in front of the physics teacher like a telephone pole. When the physics teacher said she was tired, she would naturally let Qiu Chen go. The physics teacher sighed and reached out to look for something in the drawer. Soon, she took out a stack of papers. These papers are typical questions I have summarized over the years. You give them to Qiu Chen. If possible, please help me persuade him. This child is a good child. It's not too late to turn back early. There is still hope. Okay, teacher. Qiu Chen looked at the physics teacher with wrinkles on his face and reached out to take the heavy paper. By the way, please take some time to help me supervise Qiu Chen. It's best to let him do one test paper a day. You can judge the questions yourself or give them to me. The physics teacher took off his glasses, which were not sure whether they were myopia glasses or presbyopic glasses, and wiped them with toilet paper. I'm sorry to trouble you, Zijin. Teacher, helping classmates is what I should do. I will also supervise Qiu Chen to finish these test papers carefully every day. Okay, thank you, Zijin. It's okay, teacher. After a brief chat, Qiu Chen left the office holding the test paper prepared by the physics teacher for himself. At the door of the classroom, Qiu Chen met Zijin. Seeing Qiu Chen, Zijin was stunned at first, and then the earlobes on both sides of her cheeks turned red instantly. Qiu Chen. I'm not clean anymore. Chapter 7. What does it feel like to kiss? What do you mean? Qiu Chen was stunned. But soon, he reacted. It can't be. Did you help? No. Qiu Chen's face showed a strange look. I used a normal posture. Zijin said in a shy and angry tone. Squatting. Qiu Chen laughed. What are you laughing at? Zijin was shy to begin with, and when Qiu Chen laughed, she felt her cheeks burning. If you laugh again, I will use your body to do bad things. Since Zijin took charge of Qiu Chen's body, she no longer paid attention to her expression management. Laugh when happy, cry when wronged. Get angry when you want to get angry. Do whatever you want. Then why are you dirty? Qiu Chen asked curiously. You don't need to use your hands when squatting. Take off your pants and pull them up, and you can finish peeing. I accidentally saw it. Zijin gritted her teeth and uttered a voice from between her teeth. Understandable. Qiu Chen didn't take it seriously. Everyone has seen some parts of the opposite sex in textbooks during adolescence, and has also heard teachers explain it. I dare not say that I know it particularly well, but it should be normal to know it roughly. Besides, this kind of thing is very common before the body is changed back. If Zijin regards this as a kind of dirty, then she may be dirty every day. Body swapping has become a reality and is also an irresistible factor. But, so scary. Then do you have any good ideas? Qiu Chen said, if I can't change it back today, or for a long time, I will have to trouble you to help me take a bath. Then you will see more things. Zijin was silent. She also knew that this was an irresistible external factor. There seemed to be no better way except to adapt as soon as possible. What is this in your hand? Since this matter could not be completely resolved for the time being, Zijin would not dwell on it too much. So, she turned her eyes to the test paper in Qiu Chen's hand. Oh, this. Qiu Chen almost forgot it. After Zijin's reminder, he put the stack of physics papers in Zijin's hand. This is the typical physics question prepared by the physics teacher for you. Complete at least one paper every day and hand it to me or the physics teacher after you finish it. Zijin. Is there a possibility that the physics teacher asked you to write it, not me? Zijin is not stupid, and he can react after a little thought. I don't know. Qiu Chen shook his head. The physics teacher asked Qiu Chen to write it. I think my name is Zijin now. Then I can't help you write it. I tried it this morning. My handwriting is completely different from yours. You don't want the physics teacher to find out that your test paper was written by someone else, right? Zijin said the last sentence, returned the physics test paper in his hand to Qiu Chen, and stood up and walked back to the classroom. Qiu Chen looked down at the thick stack of test papers in his hand, thought about it, and took it back to his seat. Do it? It's impossible for him to do it. Anyway, the physics teacher scolded Qiu Chen instead of him in the end. Qiu Chen and Zijin returned to the classroom one after the other, with a difference of only 2 or 3 seconds. Many classmates noticed them, but most of them didn't think about love. They had been in this class for so long, and they hadn't found any strange abnormal behavior between Qiu Chen and Zijin. As for walking into the classroom one after another, the classmates would only think it was a coincidence. However, there were also a small number of classmates who suspected the relationship between Qiu Chen and Zijin. One was the school beauty Zijin, and the other was the handsome Qiu Chen. It wouldn't be strange if these two were dating. Among these classmates, one of them had an extremely ambiguous look in his eyes. He was Wang Tong. Although he didn't know what Qiu Chen and Zijin did when they went out, and why they took so long to come back, he could boldly guess that the two might be biting each other in a corner without surveillance. This also made Wang Tong, who had been single for 18 years, full of envy. Zijin had just sat down, and her butt wasn't warm yet. Wang Tong leaned close to her ear and asked quietly, Brother Chen, what does it feel like to kiss? Zijin shook her head. I don't know. She had never kissed before, so how could she know what it felt like to kiss? And Zijin usually managed her expression with a faint smile, and it was for this reason that she had many friends around her. Qiu Chen's expression was usually expressionless, as if he was about to die, and he was drowsy and looked like he hadn't woken up every day. In fact, he stayed up late every night, sometimes all night. After exchanging bodies, and Zijin sometimes couldn't imitate Qiu Chen's expression, and she subconsciously always wanted to smile. The corners of her mouth just turned up, and she immediately realized that something was wrong, and then pressed it down again. You didn't kiss your sister-in-law? No. Wang Tong called her sister-in-law all the time, and he felt at ease, but Zijin felt uncomfortable, as if someone had exposed her past. Oh, I want to learn from your experience. It seems that you are just at the beginning stage. Wang Tong was playing the game while talking to Qiu Chen. Just after Wang Tong was killed by the jungler on the opposite side, he turned his head and looked at Qiu Chen. How about I teach you some of my experience? No. And Zijin shook his head and was about to refuse. Suddenly, as if she thought of something, she changed her words and said, if you don't mind, you can tell me. A beautiful girl like the campus belle of an university who comes from a wealthy family must have seen many warm-hearted men and licking dogs. If you treat her in the same way, she will definitely not feel your feelings. If you ask me, you should take tough measures directly. Let me give you an example. If you want to kiss the campus belle of an university, don't ask her if you can or if you can, just be decisive and hug her and kiss her. Wang Tong spoke slowly. He didn't know if what he said was right, anyway, it was played like this in the anime. Huh. You don't believe it? I don't know either. Wang Tong's confidence made Zijin a little unconfident. Believe me, Brother Chen. After Wang Tong finished speaking, the bell for class rang with a ding ding. Chapter 8: The Betrayal of Qiu Chen. The second class was math class. Qiu Chen and Wang Tong's seats were in the last row by the window. And Zijin's seat was in the second row. For Qiu Chen, this was undoubtedly like being in prison. Since he started high school, he had never sat in such a front seat. For Qiu Chen, who had long given up studying, math class was like a heavenly book. He couldn't even recognize all the formulas, let alone do math problems correctly. If you don't know, you might think these math formulas are abbreviations of English words. It really fits the saying that the end of math is English. Although Qiu Chen couldn't learn it and couldn't understand it, it was still very simple to pretend to be a good student. He just had to pretend that he listened to the class and did the questions seriously. In the third year of high school, there were basically no new knowledge points, and they were all reviews of previously learned knowledge. Therefore, teachers rarely care about those students with excellent grades. They hope that those middle-level students will make a push and the poor students will also make a push. After briefly explaining the test paper, the math teacher sat on the podium, waiting for the students to ask questions. They are already in the third year of high school, and the students are very self-conscious. Unless you really don't take your grades seriously, and don't take the college entrance examination seriously. Qiu Chen couldn't understand what he heard, and he couldn't learn it. He couldn't even read the notes written by Zijin. He was bored and just wanted to get out of class and escape from the classroom. For poor students like him, math class is a torture. Several times, Qiu Chen wanted to take out his mobile phone to play games to relax, but he held back. The role he is playing now is Zijin. If Zijin plays with her mobile phone in class, her excellent student persona will collapse. The teacher will be suspicious, and the classmates will also be suspicious. At that time, there will be a lot of unnecessary troubles. In line with the principle of less is more, Qiu Chen took out the draft paper and started to write and draw on it. To be honest, the carbon pens bought by girls are really cute. There is also a little rabbit on the pen cap, pink and white. I don't know if Qiu Chen's hand will be stained black after pressing it a few more times. He can't do the problem. He can only scribble on the paper with a pen, for example, draw a famous sword siming. From a distance, he seems to be calculating some difficult math problems. Because his hands did not stop at all, his head was also lowered, and he was always calculating the math problem on the paper. The math teacher had noticed this scene a long time ago. She was very curious about what kind of problem could stump an excellent student like Zijin for so long. Is it a conic section, a function, or a derivative? The math teacher pretended to stand up and inspect the classroom. Some students who were sneaking around put their phones in the drawer, and the students who were chatting also shut up one after another. After a round, the math teacher came behind Nzajin. She wanted to see what question Nzajin was doing. In the eyes of the math teacher, Nzajin should not have any difficult questions at this time. Even if there are, they should be able to solve them within 5 to 10 minutes. After all, the college entrance examination time mathematics is only 120 minutes. Wasting too much time on one question may affect other questions. However, when the math teacher walked behind Nzajin and was about to look at the paper where Nzajin was writing, the latter suddenly changed a piece of paper, and the original paper was torn into pieces by Nzajin and thrown into the garbage bag. Huh! The math teacher was confused. She found that she couldn't understand the operation of the top student. But she didn't think much about it, just thought it was Nzajin's personal habit, and good students all have some unique little problems. At the same time, on the other side, Nzajin and Wang Tong were playing games. To be precise, they were playing their own games. Wang Tong was playing King of Glory, while Nzajin was playing her Happy Candy Crush. In terms of grades, Wang Tong was not as good as Qiu Chen. So they ate, drank and had fun every day in class, focusing on being free and easy. Also, neither of them would betray the other. However, Wang Tong seemed to have seen Qiu Chen betray him just now. He saw that his brother Chen seemed to have secretly done several questions. That's right. It was secretly. It wasn't just one question, but several questions. This scene had a great impact on Wang Tong. He wanted to cry. He was betrayed by Qiu Chen. The wound of betrayal will never heal. If Qiu Chen can't give him an excuse that satisfies him, he will justly cut off his relationship with Qiu Chen for a day. After the new day refreshes at midnight, he will pay attention to Qiu Chen again. On the other hand, Nzajin was playing games by reaching into the drawer on the surface. In fact, she took the math test paper down, put her cell phone on top of the math test paper, and played with her cell phone while doing the math test paper. Wang Tong was playing with his cell phone, but Nzajin was doing the test paper. I don't know since when, doing the test paper has become something that cannot be seen in public, and even has to be done secretly. Just like Qiu Chen now. Brother Chen. Wang Tong approached Qiu Chen carefully, and then looked at Qiu Chen's drawer quietly. There, he saw dense mathematical formulas, and the handwriting was very neat. It didn't look like it was written by the person himself. Wang Tong remembered that Qiu Chen's handwriting was very ugly, and the words he wrote were like ghost paintings. How come it is written so beautifully now? No. This is not the point. The point is, why did his brother Chen suddenly become so fond of studying? The sun didn't rise from the west today. Brother Chen, are you okay? When Wang Tong finished speaking, Nzajin had just finished the last question. She let out a long breath. This feeling of ease in doing questions was great. Looking up, Nzajin was ready to play a game to relax. Just then, she suddenly noticed Wang Tong's eyes, which were full of confusion. This made Nzajin curious. What's wrong? Brother Chen, you are confused. Instead of figuring out why Qiu Chen could finish a math test in such a short time, it is better to figure out why Qiu Chen did this. There must be something wrong when things are abnormal. What's confusing? Nzajin had just finished the math problem, and her mind was confused. She didn't understand what Wang Tong meant by this sentence. You study hard and fill in the math test paper regardless of right or wrong, isn't it just to please that woman? Which woman? An university campus Belle, Nzajin. Wang Tong sighed. Brother Chen, if you want to date her, I can understand and support her unconditionally, but Brother Chen, if you have a better choice, I suggest you change someone. Wang Tong is the kind of person who will support Qiu Chen behind his back no matter what he does. As mentioned before, one thing for another. He does not suggest Qiu Chen to date Nzajin. But if Qiu Chen wants to be with Nzajin, he will also support her unconditionally. Why? Nzajin asked in surprise, is Nzajin not a good person? It's not that I can't. Wang Tong scratched his head, as if thinking about how to explain. I feel that the campus belle of an university. Not sincere. Chapter 9 Suicide. Insincere. Nzajin said hurriedly, what insincere? In what aspect? She was very anxious. She wanted to know where she was insincere. But in Wang Tong's eyes, Her reaction was just like a little boy who fell in love for the first time and couldn't bear to hear others say no to his girlfriend. Hearing the tone of Qiu Chen, Wang Tong's neck shrank. He didn't dare to say anything more. But seeing the expression of Qiu Chen, he knew he had to say it. It's. Wang Tong was thinking of an accurate word, a word that could describe Zejin. It's what? She asked. That's right, the campus belle of an university always has a faint smile on her face, as if nothing can change her expression. Don't you find it strange? How can a normal person only have a smile on his face? Doesn't she have anyone she hates? Doesn't she get angry? Doesn't she get along so well with everyone? Isn't it impossible? Wang Tong said, shaking his head, so, I feel that the campus belle of an university is not sincere. She may be hiding something intentionally or unintentionally. Brother Chen, I didn't say anything bad about my sister-in-law. I'm just talking about the facts. After Wang Tong finished speaking, he glanced at Qiu Chen quietly. He originally wanted to remind Qiu Chen not to be deceived. Children from rich families have many means. But seeing the expression of Qiu Chen, Wang Tong realized that it was useless to say anything. The current Qiu Chen might be in the early stage and would not listen to any advice from others. But then again, Qiu Chen wouldn't really study hard to please Zejin, right? Maybe it's because we're not familiar with each other. And Zejin said. In fact, there are not many friends in school who are worthy of her trust. Her deskmate is one. CC is one. So when did you become familiar with each other? Wang Tong asked curiously. He and Qiu Chen stayed together day and night, and he never heard Qiu Chen talk about Zejin. It was as if Zejin suddenly appeared in his and Qiu Chen's world out of thin air. This. And Zejin didn't know how to answer. You can't say it's because of a body swap, right? What's the sense of déjà vu of your name? Forget it, let's play games. And Zejin took out her mobile phone and opened Happy Candy Crush. Qiu Chen was trying to hide the truth, so she should also try to play games. What to play? Before Wang Tong finished talking, he suddenly saw Qiu Chen open Happy Candy Crush. No, just play this. Although Android and Apple are in different regions and their accounts are not synchronized. But isn't it a waste of resources to play Happy Candy Crush with an Apple? You know, an Apple with a radiator can become a congenital FPS saint. Wang Tong wanted to say something flirty, but when he saw Qiu Chen studying hard first and then playing a small game like Happy Candy Crush, he swallowed his words silently. Brother Chen has changed. This was Wang Tong's first reaction. He looked at the position of Zejin in confusion. Do women really have such great magic? Qiu Chen, who the teacher had persuaded for 3 years but couldn't be persuaded, was actually cured by Zejin. At the same time, Wang Tong imagined in his heart. If I find a beautiful partner, will I also love studying? While thinking about it, the morning class ended. After school at noon, Zejin and Wang Tong went straight to the cafeteria. Because they were in the last row, they were very fast. Zejin was very comfortable using Qiu Chen's body, at least he was far ahead in terms of grabbing food. It turns out that having long legs really helps you eat fresh food. On the other hand, Qiu Chen didn't know who he should find to eat with. In his impression, Zejin seemed to be alone, eating alone, and going to and from school alone. In this case, Qiu Chen had to eat by himself. Just as he walked out of the classroom, he felt his left shoulder being tapped. Qiu Chen turned his head to the left. There was no one on the left. The next second, laughter came from the right. Hey, Zejin, do you want to eat together at noon? You are not allowed to refuse me today. I haven't eaten with you for a long time. Okay? Okay tilde. Qiu Chen changed his interjections quickly. The girl had a very standard high school campus short hair, with a blue hairpin on her head, which looked very recognizable. However, Qiu Chen had never seen this girl before. She might be from another class. Zejin, why do I feel you are so strange? The girl walked around to Qiu Chen and looked at Qiu Chen's appearance carefully. She felt that Zejin's eyes were not right today, as if he didn't know her but pretended to know her. No. Zejin, what's my name? She asked. It's over. Hell question. Qiu Chen didn't even know the name of Zejin's deskmate, so how could he know the names of friends in other classes? But looking at the girl's performance, she should have a good relationship with Zejin. It is very likely that she is a close friend among the girls. Cici. This is the first name Qiu Chen thought of. When the phone was not changed in the morning, Cici sent many messages to Nzijin, which was enough to prove that Cici had a good relationship with Nzijin. Cici, I'm not stupid, why would you ask such a question? HMPH. Who knows you? Cici snorted, we were chatting last night, but today you act like you don't know me. Last night. Qiu Chen caught the key words. It seems that Nzijin didn't reply to Cici's message this morning. Yeah, last night. You didn't bring your phone today, why didn't you reply to my message? Well, I was busy doing homework today. Nzijin, don't think about studying all the time. Study at school during the day and go home to study at night. You study all the time except for eating and sleeping. No wonder you sent me a message last night saying you were tired. Then you didn't reply to my message. If you hadn't replied to me this morning, I would have thought you were in trouble. Cici said faintly. If it weren't for that yes, Cici would have wanted to call the police. I'm fine. Qiu Chen remembered that the yes seemed to be replied by himself this morning. It's good that you're okay. Cici smiled and pinched Nzijin's cheek. If there's anything, tell me. Seeing that Nzijin was fine, she was relieved. Okay tilde. Hearing Cc's words, Qiu Chen thought of something. When he woke up this morning, he was at the edge of the third-floor rooftop. He was only one step away from falling. Before the body swap, the person in that position was Nzijin. So, what was she doing on the edge of the rooftop? It was hard not to make Qiu Chen think of that word suicide. Everything has a cause and an effect, so what was the reason for her doing this? In fact, in addition to studying, campus life is still pretty good. You see, as long as you come to the cafeteria, most people's eyes are on you. CC's meaning is very clear. In addition to studying, don't forget the beauty of life. Everything you have now. It is also beyond the reach of some other people. CC's words interrupted Qiu Chen's thinking. He followed CC's gaze and looked around. Whether they were eating or waiting in line for food, they would more or less glance at Nzijin. This unique experience of being watched wherever you go is something Qiu Chen has never experienced before. The next second, a boy who was half a head taller than Qiu Chen walked over. Studentin, can I add you as a penguin? Chapter 10 Orphan. Good news, Qiu Chen was confessed. Bad news, the confessor was a boy. Although this was not the first time Qiu Chen was confessed, it was the first time a boy confessed to him. To be honest, his first reaction was to reject directly. From childhood to adulthood, his sexual orientation has always been normal, that is, he likes sweet girls. However, the body he is using now belongs to Nzijin. Given Nzijin's personality, how should he reject? Reject politely or reject sternly? Just when Qiu Chen was hesitating, Cici spoke, sorry, Nzijin already has someone she likes. It's just that now that the college entrance examination is approaching, everything should be focused on studying. I understand. The boy left in dismay. This is the way Cici often uses to reject, and it has been tried and tested. Many people will not continue to ask Nzijin for contact information when they hear that she has someone she likes. As for why she didn't find a date, Nzijin didn't dare. Her mother hated kids who dated during school. After eating, Qiu Chen and Cici sat among the girls. By the way, who is that person you're talking about? Qiu Chen asked curiously after taking a bite of rice. He wanted to know this question completely for himself. I don't know him. Don't know him. Yeah. Cici stuffed a lot of food into her mouth, her cheeks bulged, and her words were as unclear as if she had bitten her tongue. You mentioned him to me before, I don't know his name. But if I see him in person, I'll definitely recognize him. After Cici finished speaking, she suddenly realized that something was wrong. You don't know who that person is, why are you asking me? Har. I just want to see if it's the same person. Qiu Chen found an excuse to hold back. It must be him, I've known you for so long, and I've only heard you talk about men once. Har. Qiu Chen laughed dryly and buried his head in eating. I don't know what Nzijin and Wang Tong are eating. Looking at the pitiful amount of food in front of him, Qiu Chen sighed in his heart. Lunch is the same as breakfast, with the illusion that the body is full but the soul is hungry. He didn't even dare to drink beverages. What's the difference between not being able to drink beverages in summer and being dead? Qiu Chen was suffering, while Zajin was on the other side. She once again experienced the joy of being a boy, eating as much as she could without worrying about her image, and drinking Coke without worrying about diarrhea. Brother Chen, let's go. Wang Tong clinked glasses with Zajin with Coke. Let's go. They had a great meal. After the meal, it was a lunch break of about an hour and a half. Good students basically practiced questions seriously or corrected wrong questions during lunch break. Poor students like Qiu Chen played games or slept during lunch break. In the morning, Zajin did 2 sets of papers, and finally had time to have a good sleep at noon. Qiu Chen was miserable. I wanted to sleep but didn't dare to, and I wanted to play but couldn't. I could only wear headphones and pretend to listen to English listening. During this lunch break, Zajin didn't do the papers, and kept sleeping on the table. Looking at the Qiu Chen, who was taking a nap, Wang Tong felt that the familiar Chen brother was back. The Chen brother who secretly did the questions in the morning was really too unfamiliar. After the lunch break, there were 2 English classes, and then 2 chemistry classes. No matter English or chemistry, they were all incomprehensible to Qiu Chen. I couldn't understand, and I couldn't learn. In this way, Qiu Chen persisted until school was over in the evening. Ding-ling-ling. When the school bell rang, Qiu Chen's time in prison was finally declared over. He was free. This miserable day, he really couldn't hold on. It's hard to imagine how Zajin could study hard day after day. Today, Qiu Chen almost filled up Zajin's notebook. Whenever the teacher looked at him, he would pick up a pen and scribble on the paper. Not to mention the sore hands, who could stand this psychological torture? Anyway, Qiu Chen couldn't stand it. He stood up and was about to rush out. Suddenly, he realized that he couldn't do this. Girls need to pack up their things after school, and they are all slow. If Qiu Chen ran too fast, it might damage Zajin's image. Thinking of this, Qiu Chen sat down again. Then he started to put things into his school bag. He didn't know what Zajin liked to study, so he simply put all the textbooks in. After packing his school bag, Qiu Chen began to think about random things. He didn't drink much water today. After a day, he didn't feel like going to the toilet at all. To be honest, it was a bit of a pity. Seeing that most people in the classroom had left, Qiu Chen stood up and prepared to leave. At this time, Zajin just declined Wang Tong's proposal to go home together. She looked up and looked at Qiu Chen. The next second, Zajin took the initiative to send Qiu Chen a message, "See you at the door." It's too easy for the opposite sex to go downstairs together by the school leaders, and a group of classmates who like to eat melons may point fingers. It's very annoying. After sending the message, Zajin left from the back door alone. Qiu Chen carried his school bag, and the weight inside pressed his shoulders down. Girls' bodies are really weak. Qiu Chen felt tired before he even walked. The heavy school bag was one reason, but more importantly, it was because Zajin's body was relatively weak. Carrying the school bag, Qiu Chen trotted all the way to the school gate. When he arrived at the door, he was already panting and had difficulty speaking. "Why are you so weak?" Hearing the voice, Qiu Chen looked up and pointed at his body. "How dare you say that? I ask you, whose body am I using now?" "Yours." As soon as the question mark appeared on his head, Qiu Chen understood what Zajin meant. "How is it, my body is strong? Better than mine, but, very strange. Very strange." Qiu Chen scratched his head, not understanding the meaning of this sentence, but he didn't waste time on it. "What do you need to do after you go back?" Qiu Chen is now using Zajin's body. After he goes back, he definitely can't go to sleep or play games directly. Maybe he needs to do some homework or something. That is to say, they need to live with each other's parents tonight. Qiu Chen is fine, he has met Zajin's mother once this morning. But Zajin has never met Qiu Chen's parents. Whenever she thinks of this, she gets nervous. "I'll do my homework first when I get home, and then help with cooking. After dinner, I need to practice guitar, and finally finish with yoga." Wait, why are there so many things? Qiu Chen hurriedly stopped Zajin, doing homework, helping with cooking, practicing guitar, yoga. "I don't know how to do anything else except homework." "Okay, I can't do homework either." This is what Zajin is most worried about. At home, she has always been her mother's pride, and she learned guitar and yoga for her mother. She doesn't have any big goals. As long as her mother is happy and willing to smile at her, everything she does is worth it. If she were replaced by Qiu Chen, and Zijin couldn't imagine what Qiu Chen would do. Would he give up? Or would he contradict his mother? What should I do? You decide for yourself. Anyway, your name isn't Zijin now. And Zijin imitated Qiu Chen and gave up. Since her body had changed, she couldn't ask Qiu Chen to learn guitar and yoga in a short time. This was unrealistic. What about you? What do you need to do after you go back? And Zijin asked. She also needed to deal with Qiu Chen's parents. There's no one at home. You can do whatever you want. You live alone. I'm an orphan. Chapter 11. When did you catch up with Qiu Chen? Over the years, Qiu Chen has adapted. He won't feel inferior or sad because of saying this word. He is very open-minded. Life is like a dream. How much joy can you have? As long as you can live your life happily, that's enough. Sorry. And Zijin lowered her head. She didn't expect Qiu Chen to be an orphan. In her eyes, she always thought that orphans faced difficulties in socializing, but when she saw Qiu Chen's interpersonal relationships, she didn't associate Qiu Chen with orphans at all. She didn't see any of the various manifestations of psychological trauma of orphans in Qiu Chen. It's okay. Qiu Chen waved his hand and didn't take it to heart. Do you do your homework yourself, or do I do it for you? Take it home. If you don't have homework in your hand, your mother might scold you. And Zijin explained. In fact, it's not possible, but she will definitely say it. Then do the physics test paper. Qiu Chen took out a stack of physics papers from his school bag and handed them to Zijin. You are now called Qiu Chen, so it is reasonable to do Qiu Chen's physics test paper. How much did you do? Not at all. Qiu Chen put the test paper in Zijin's hand. If you can accept being scolded by the physics teacher, I can roll the dice. Okay. And Zijin put the test paper in her school bag. Her physics grades are very good. To be honest, finishing these physics papers will not improve her grades much. It's better to memorize English words or English essays to find a sense of language. But who can blame her? She is using Qiu Chen's body now. Besides, if Qiu Chen fails to hand in the paper tomorrow, she will be the one to be scolded. Based on the principle of less trouble, and Zijin can help Qiu Chen write a little. After leaving the school gate, Qiu Chen gave Zijin a location. This is my home. It's not too far from the school. The key is in the pocket of the school bag. The door is old. You need to kick it twice before opening it. After Qiu Chen finished speaking, he added, it's an iron door. Just kick it hard. Okay. The community is old and broken. I'm sorry. Qiu Chen knew that Zijin's living conditions were very good. It was not an exaggeration to say that she was the eldest lady of Haizhou. When Qiu Chen went downstairs in the morning, he had already seen the full view of Zijin's house. To be honest, he had never seen such a luxurious 3-story villa. It was no exaggeration to say that Zijin's bathroom was bigger than Qiu Chen's bedroom. Qiu Chen was really afraid that such a young lady would not be able to hold on if she was allowed to live in his small, shabby house. As long as it's a warm home. With hot water. Qiu Chen didn't understand what Zijin meant, but, do you want to take a shower? Not for now. And Zijin refused decisively. She didn't want to see that strange thing she had never seen before. But. Qiu Chen scratched his head, it's summer now. I usually take a shower 3 times a day, once in the morning when I wake up, once in the evening when I go home, and once when I go to bed at night. If you don't let me take a shower, I feel that your body may stink. Hold on for another day and see if you can change back tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. What if you can't? And Zijin looked at Qiu Chen and sighed softly, if you can't, take a shower. Okay. Qiu Chen made a gesture. He made it clear in advance that he had no intention of taking advantage of Zijin. It's just that if you don't take a shower in summer, you will really stink. Imagine what it's like for a beautiful girl to exude an indescribable stench all over her body. Is there anything else? If not, go home early. Mother hates people who come home late after school. Why does Qiu Chen feel that Zijin's mother has so many problems? She has to do homework, help with cooking, practice guitar, yoga, and even come home late after school. I'm sorry. And Zijin saw Qiu Chen frowning, and she knew what Qiu Chen was thinking. But she really had no other way. R. Qiu Chen looked at Zijin blankly. What are you sorry for? I'm sorry for letting you get along with my mother. Zijin bit her lip, and a little blood came out of her lower lip. If your mother forces you to learn guitar, you can practice with the ukulele first. She didn't know if Qiu Chen could stick to it. Anyway, she couldn't hold on any longer. If she hadn't suddenly swapped bodies with Qiu Chen, she might have already. Ukulele. Qiu Chen had never heard of this thing. He had heard of Yuri's revenge. Ukulele is a little simpler than guitar. Okay. Qiu Chen straightened his clothes and prepared to leave. Zijin said that her mother was difficult to get along with, and Qiu Chen wanted to see how difficult she was. As soon as she took a step, a noisy girl rushed over. Qiu Chen and Zijin turned their eyes to that person at the same time. It was Cici. Qiu Chen only knew that her name was Cici, but he didn't know her specific name. Zijin, it's so late, why haven't you left yet? Cici touched Qiu Chen's hair. Aren't you afraid of what your mother would say about you? No. Zijin's family affairs. Also no. Zijin's mother's personality. It seems that Cici and Zijin have a better relationship than Qiu Chen imagined. In his heart, his understanding of the relationship between Cici and Zijin has quietly risen to a higher level. I'll leave right away. Qiu Chen smiled at Cici with a warm smile he learned from Zijin. After playing the role of Zijin for a day, Qiu Chen felt that he was getting more and more comfortable with it. Who is he? Cici asked quietly in Qiu Chen's ear. She always felt that this boy was very familiar, but she just couldn't remember. Cici seemed to remember. She turned her head and glanced at Qiu Chen again, as if to confirm her inner guess. That's right. It's him. Cici and Zijin are good girlfriends who have been playing together since childhood. There are almost no secrets between them. Zijin will tell Cici anything, and Cici will also share anything with Zijin. Just like boys' small apps, girls' chat records are also not allowed to be seen. By the way, when did you catch up with her? What? Qiu Chen didn't understand. Qiu Chen, when did you catch up with Qiu Chen? Chapter 12 Strange Mother. R. Qiu Chen stopped and looked at Zijin behind him with a surprised look. He pointed at himself, then secretly pointed at Zijin, and asked in a low voice, I pursued him. Yes, didn't you like to pay attention to his every move some time ago? R. Have you forgotten? Cici began to restore the memory of Zijin. As the representative of the physics class, your favorite thing every day is to supervise whether Qiu Chen has finished his homework. I have never seen you care so much about other people. Hiss. Qiu Chen took a breath. No wonder. No wonder he was often called to the office by the physics teacher. It turned out that Zijin was helping in it. Don't pretend, don't change the subject, just tell me, when did you pursue Qiu Chen? Actually, not yet. Not yet. Cici turned his head and glanced at Qiu Chen. The boy's face is well defined, with smooth and powerful lines, and his deep eyes are like the brightest stars in the night sky. A sunny, cheerful, and slightly handsome boy like Qiu Chen is recognized by even the picky Cici. But now, his face seems to be anxious. Is it because my appearance disturbed their world of two people? How can Zijin not be anxious? Cici is a loose-lipped person, she knows it better than anyone else. It's okay to eat other melons, but she is afraid that Cici and Qiu Chen will eat her own melons. Why haven't you eaten yet? Anyway, their world of two people has been disturbed by themselves, so let's continue to disturb it. Because? Qiu Chen himself just knew about this. Because what? Cici shook Qiu Chen's shoulders. Zijin, Jinjin, tell me Tilda. Qiu Chen was indifferent to Cici's coquetry. One is that he can resist the coquetry of girls. The other is that he is also a girl now. He believed that he would be more attractive than Cici when he acted like a spoiled child. Besides, Qiu Chen was very fragrant, soft, and sticky. Because, I haven't told Qiu Chen yet. Qiu Chen said truthfully. Anyway, he had never heard Zijin talk about this. No matter what the reason was, Qiu Chen didn't know about it now. But now, by some strange coincidence, Qiu Chen accidentally learned the news. When are you going to tell him? She kept asking Qiu Chen like a curious baby. Why are you so curious? I'm just worried about you. Worried about me. I feel like you've been a little tired lately, visibly exhausted. I thought you could find someone to share your attention, maybe that would be better. Also, don't do anything stupid. Cici handed Qiu Chen a chocolate sandwich. I know your mother puts a lot of pressure on you. If you have any questions, just send me a message. I'll come find you wherever I am. Well, thank you, Cici. After Anzijin and Cc's instructions, Qiu Chen understood that his family life might not be peaceful in the future. However, Qiu Chen felt a sense of excitement. He hadn't lived with other people's parents yet. I'm leaving, classmate Anzijin. Anzijin saw that Qiu Chen and Cici were still chatting, and she was afraid that she couldn't help but go up and pull them apart, so she had to leave first. Other things were easy to say, but she was afraid that Cici would tell Qiu Chen about her own gossip. This was the first time she had eaten a gossip and it had fallen on her head. Bye. Qiu Chen waved his hand. Anzijin left, and she navigated according to the location Qiu Chen sent her. Cici took out her phone and checked the time. It's over, it's late, you should go home quickly, it's all my fault, you will be scolded again tonight. Cici urged Qiu Chen. Looking at Cc's anxious expression, Qiu Chen shook his head slowly, it's okay. Now, his name is Anzijin. He wanted to personally contact what kind of person the mother who made Anzijin and Cici so scared was. In the morning, he walked too fast and didn't have much contact with this mother. He just knew that Anzijin's body was shaking. A kind of instinctive fear of the body. Qiu Chen was about to walk home, mainly because Anzijin's home was not far from the school, and it seemed a bit wasteful to take a taxi. However, just as he took a step, Cici suddenly called him, wait, I'll call a taxi for you. As soon as he finished speaking, a sedan stopped in front of Qiu Chen. He opened the car door and got in, then rolled down the window. Cici, bye. Bye, Zijin. Qiu Chen sat upright in the back seat, legs together. This was one of the few times he didn't cross his legs. As a girl, it's important to sit upright. Qiu Chen didn't know if Anzijin's mother would pay attention to her daughter's sitting posture, but it wouldn't be a bad thing to prepare in advance. A few minutes later, the car drove into the quiet villa area. Qiu Chen got out of the car, took a deep breath, and walked into the small Western-style building. Then he looked at her and opened the door. In the large living room, Anzijin's mother was sitting on the sofa, crossing her legs, first glanced at Qiu Chen, then turned her head to look at the electronic clock on the wall. Anzijin. Her voice was flat, but it sounded unquestionable in Qiu Chen's ears. Mom. Qiu Chen called out. In fact, this word was very unfamiliar to him, and he hadn't called her for a long time. What time is it? Qiu Chen looked at the time, 1854. What time is it? Seeing that Anzijin didn't speak, the mother continued to ask, her voice still so flat. 6:55. What did you do? I chatted with my classmates for a while. What did I tell you? Well. Yes, I'm sorry. Qiu Chen finally understood what Anzijin meant by apology. Her mother's sense of oppression was too strong. Qiu Chen felt suffocated when chatting with her, and even the body he was using was still shaking. Well, practice guitar for an extra hour in the evening. Qiu Chen nodded in confusion. Just because he came home late, he needed to practice guitar for an extra hour. Is there any inevitable causal relationship between the two? Qiu Chen really couldn't understand what Anzijin's mother was thinking. After practicing guitar, remember to do the exam questions. I have prepared 2 sets for you today. When you finish, you can go to bed. Didn't you understand? I understand. Looking at Anzijin's mother, Qiu Chen couldn't help but worry about himself in the future. Exam questions, guitar, cooking, yoga. Qiu Chen doesn't know any of them. If it weren't for maintaining Anzijin's personality, he really wanted to turn against her. The pressure of studying in the 3rd year of high school is already great. Anzijin's mother also asked Anzijin to learn some useless things, at least Qiu Chen felt that they were useless. Guitar, yoga, what are the uses of these 2 things? Or is this a way for rich people to cultivate their sentiments? Qiu Chen didn't understand. He only knew that life is only a few decades long, and you should enjoy yourself while you can. In this world, nothing is more important than pleasing yourself. But This isn't Zijin's family, and Qiu Chen, an outsider, really can't say anything. All he could do was to try to maintain Zijin's personality and prevent her mother from finding out. Go do your homework first. Okay. Qiu Chen responded and turned to go upstairs. At the same time, Zijin had just arrived at Qiu Chen's community. Chapter 13. This is the life she wants. This community is even more dilapidated than Zijin imagined. However, the surroundings are full of fireworks. People come and go on the street, and the owners of various snack stalls shout loudly. The stalls are full of people, including elementary school students who have just finished school, young couples who are out for a walk, and a family of 3 who are out for dinner at night. Everyone is happy. This is something Zijin has never experienced before. From childhood to adulthood, she has hardly eaten the food in the snack stalls. Every time she said she wanted to eat, her mother would refuse her on the grounds that it was unclean. Boss, I want this, and that. What's that in the corner? Have some too. Zijin is using Qiu Chen's body now. Whether it's for the purpose of eating enough or keeping Qiu Chen healthy, she needs to eat more. Okay, young man, wait a moment, it will be ready soon. The stall owner put the skewers into the oil pan and looked up at Zijin. Hey, Qiu Chen, you're back so early today. I came back after school. Zijin didn't expect the stall owner to know Qiu Chen. Boss, how much is it? I'll scan it for you. Why do you want money? Just think of it as a gift from your uncle. If you like it, come back next time. The stall owner seems to have a good relationship with Qiu Chen. No, boss, I can't eat your food for free. Zijin still has this kind of manners. What's wrong with eating for free? What's wrong with you today? Yesterday, you asked me to grill 2 kidneys as if it was your duty. Why did you think of paying today? Zijin was stunned. She didn't expect Qiu Chen to like to eat and drink for free. What? The stall owner put the fried skewers in a bag and handed them to Zijin. I put more for you. Your cousin Qiu Zhu will come to you to do homework later. It's a good time for you two to eat together. Okay. Zijin took it. She caught 2 key words in this sentence. Cousin. Qiu Zhu. The stall owner should be Qiu Chen's father's younger brother, that is, Qiu Chen's second uncle. So everyone is a family. Thinking about it this way, Qiu Chen's free food and drink can be understood. Zijin carried the fried skewers and followed the navigation all the way to Unit 3 of the community. Qiu Chen's community is relatively old, so the floors are not very high. The highest is the 7th floor, and his room is on the 5th floor. When passing by the first floor of each unit, Zijin would smell a faint aroma of vegetables. Along with the aroma, there were also the sounds of children playing. They shuttled around the clothesline, as if they were playing hide and seek. The clothes on the clothesline were also dripping with water, as if they had just been washed. This community, whether it was people or things, was full of the smell of fireworks. Everything was so real. But for Zijin, it was so unreal. She had never experienced this kind of life. Every night when she returned home, what was waiting for her was always something she didn't like. What guitar, what yoga, she didn't like at all. She also wanted to go home and have a good meal, then take a bath and lie on the bed to watch a movie, just like other classmates, instead of learning some crappy guitar or practicing some crappy yoga. Zijin exhaled. From today on, her monotonous life will be broken because of Qiu Chen's appearance. In Qiu Chen's body, she began to welcome her own new life. It's hard for Qiu Chen. With the anxiety of exchanging bodies and the excitement of welcoming a new life, Zijin came to the 5th floor of Unit 3, room 502. Looking at the dilapidated iron door in front of her, she followed Qiu Chen's instructions, inserting the key first, then kicking the iron door, and then twisting the door handle. Squeak! With a clear sound, the door opened. Indoors. The room is small, but very clean. Standing at the door, Zijin can see Qiu Chen's room at a glance. There is no bedroom, living room, or kitchen here. In other words, they are all mixed together. Except for the bathroom, which is a separate room, everything else is in a large room. This kind of room has a very big disadvantage, that is, the smell of cooking is easy to get on the quilt. When you go to bed at night, you will find that the quilt is full of oil smoke. However, Qiu Chen's room completely avoids this problem. Because Qiu Chen doesn't know how to cook at all. And Zijin put down her school bag and just sat on the bed when there was a rapid knock on the door. She stood up and pushed open the door. Outside the door, a young girl with twin ponytails swaying gently, like the most lively willow branches in spring. Her clear and bright eyes flashed with expectation, looking up at Zijin. The girl didn't look very old, she should be a junior high school student. Cousin. She called sweetly. She should be Qiu Chen's cousin, Qiu Zhu. Come in. And Zijin moved aside to make way for Qiu Zhu. Cousin, help me carry the cat food. After saying that, she bent down and picked up the kitten and put it on the floor of Qiu Chen's house. What is this? And Zijin put the cat food next to the kitten and asked curiously. My mother doesn't allow me to keep a cat and told me to give it to someone else, so I thought of giving it to you. I just bought this cat food and haven't used it much yet. Cousin, can you help me raise a kitten? Qiu Zhu shook Zijin's arm, she was acting like a spoiled child. And Zijin didn't know if Qiu Chen would buy it, but she would. Okay. Ask yourself, and Zijin still likes kittens very much. When she was a child, she brought a cat home without permission like Qiu Zhu, and then, she was beaten by her mother. In her mother's words, raising a cat is a small matter, but you brought a cat home without my permission, which is a big deal. From then on, and Zijin had to ask her mother before doing anything. It's better not to do it than to do it wrong. Looking at the little white cat, and Zijin squatted down and touched it. Meow tilde tilde. So cute. Qiu Zhu looked up at her cousin while doing her homework. If she had known that Qiu Chen liked kittens, she would have brought the kittens here directly. After playing with the kittens for a while, and Zijin put the skewers on the table, let's eat something. Thank you, cousin. It's okay. And Zijin smiled. She has no brothers or sisters, so she doesn't know what it feels like to get along with them. But now using Qiu Chen's body to get along with his sister, it feels pretty good. And Zijin sat face to face with Qiu Zhu, and the two chatted with each other. Until the skewers were finished, Qiu Zhu suddenly spoke and asked Zijin a very strange question. Cousin, the college entrance examination is coming soon, are you really not going to study? Chapter 14 Menstrual Period. Qiu Chen sat in front of the dressing table, quietly looking at Zijin in the mirror. The girl's face is as fresh and refined as the morning dew, as if it is the most exquisite masterpiece of nature. Her long hair cascades down like a waterfall, with a faint luster. When she smiles, her bright eyes bend into a crescent shape, revealing 2 rows of neat and white teeth, making people feel endless warmth and beauty. In terms of appearance alone, Zijin is indeed impeccable. Touching his delicate face, Qiu Chen felt dazed. He never thought that one day he could turn into a sweet girl. According to Zijin, the first thing she does every time she gets home is to do her homework in her bedroom. But now, Qiu Chen has been back for half an hour. Not to mention doing his homework, he was too lazy to even take out his textbooks and papers. It's not that Qiu Chen doesn't want to write, but he really can't write. He can't just scribble on Zijin's paper, right? Well. Qiu Chen sighed and took out his textbook and test paper. There is no such thing as a peaceful life, it's just that someone is moving forward with a heavy burden. He is the latter. Just when Qiu Chen was about to write some ABCD, there was a gentle knock on the door, accompanied by an extremely gentle female voice. Boom boom boom. Miss, it's time. The teacher is waiting for you in the piano room. Okay. Qiu Chen responded sweetly. The longer Qiu Chen stayed in Zijin's body, the more pleasant his voice sounded. If Wang Tong knew that he had become Zijin, he would definitely say, Bro, you smell so good. Qiu Chen washed his face and combed his hair. Take a deep breath and open the door. Miss, please follow me. Qiu Chen followed the butler all the way, and at the corner at the end of the corridor was a piano room. Miss, please come in. Seeing Qiu Chen standing there motionless, the butler made way and left the seat at the door for Qiu Chen alone. Qiu Chen took a breath and opened the door. As the door closed, he felt as if he had entered another world. The elegantly dressed female teacher was sitting on a soft stool with a light brown guitar placed in front of her. The piano room, as the name suggests, is filled with a variety of musical instruments. Basically, all the mainstream musical instruments sold on the market can be found here. Qiu Chen couldn't help but swallow his saliva. He had never heard of some of these instruments, let alone played them. He was a little nervous. He hadn't felt this way in a long time, and his palms were sweating. Teacher. Qiu Chen called softly. Well, sit down. The teacher spoke briefly and patted the piano stool next to him. Today, let's practice the piano. Yes, teacher. Qiu Chen sat on the piano bench as instructed by the teacher. Your mother asked you to learn 5 musical instruments before the Chinese New Year, but I only know guitar and piano. You have already learned guitar, and now the only thing left is piano. The teacher handed the acoustic guitar to Qiu Chen. Try to play the song I taught you yesterday. If there is no problem, I will start teaching you to play the piano. Guitar is an instrument that is very difficult to learn. It requires the cooperation of the left and right hands to play music. This is a magical thing. Unfortunately, Qiu Chen doesn't know how to do it and has not received any systematic training. He just saw a clip on a short video. But Qiu Chen understood that a guitar cannot produce sound simply by plucking the strings. Let's get started. Qiu Chen doesn't pray for a miracle to happen because that is unrealistic. He just hoped that he could deceive the teacher. Taking the guitar, he gently adjusted the strap to make sure it was firmly hung on his chest, then carefully plucked the strings with his fingertips, producing a few slightly awkward but crisp notes. Each note is like an independent island, lacking coherence and making a headache-inducing crackling sound. Hearing the sound of the guitar, the teacher closed his eyes in despair. She suddenly felt that all her teaching time had been in vain. Today, Zejin played like a beginner. No. He is a newcomer who has never learned anything. His eyes swept across the slightly raised chest, and Qiu Chen looked at the strings on the guitar. They were clearly just a few simple lines, but he just couldn't play them clearly. What are you doing? The teacher opened his eyes were cold, and even his voice was a little harsh. She has been teaching Zejin for more than a month. Why is he acting like an idiot today? Are his 2 hands so uncoordinated? Not only can he not concentrate, but his fingers are also placed in a mess. His index and middle fingers can't even find the frets, so how can he pluck the strings? Teacher. Explain. I feel sick, my stomach aches. Qiu Chen didn't know whether this method would work or not, but the girls in his class often used this excuse to ask for leave. Moreover, he did feel a stomachache. It might be because he was too nervous, coupled with not having eaten dinner. Of course, there was a more important reason, and Zejin's body was too poor and too weak. Period. The teacher doesn't know when Zejin's menstrual period is. But she had heard from the housekeeper that Zejin was very weak and would faint from the pain every time she had her menstrual period. Yes. Qiu Chen nodded painfully. This was a little trick he often used. Letting others talk about your problems is often more trustworthy than talking about it yourself. For example, if Qiu Chen said that she was on her period, the teacher might not necessarily believe it. But if the teacher said that Qiu Chen was on her period, the teacher would basically believe it. Because no one will doubt himself. The teacher glanced at Qiu Chen, whose face turned pale. It should be true that she was having her menstrual period. She was wearing a skirt, and her period was probably in the afternoon or just now. Combined with her character of not lying, the teacher chose to believe in Zejin. After figuring it out, the teacher's expression eased a little. Your mother and I are in an employment relationship. It is my responsibility to teach you well. Even if I take a step back, I charge you by the hour. Even if you don't learn well in the end, the money is not refundable. Do you understand? The teacher was paid to do the job, she just hoped to teach Zejin better. Clear. I don't understand a thing. Qiu Chen had heard these words countless times from his high school teachers. If language was useful, his grades wouldn't be at the bottom of the school. Okay, you should have a good rest today. I'll ask the housekeeper to make you some wolfberry blood replenishing soup later. Thank you for your hard work, teacher. Fine. The teacher helped Qiu Chen back to the bedroom. Before leaving, the teacher suddenly spoke and said something that made Qiu Chen confused. Zejin, in fact, you have always been your mother's pride. After saying that, the teacher closed the door and turned to leave. Qiu Chen scratched his head, not understanding the meaning of this sentence. Anyway, he got through it. Just like that, Qiu Chen lay contentedly on Zejin's big bed. In just a short while, Qiu Chen already felt the oppression of this body. He didn't know how Zijin had survived all these years. She might feel aggrieved in her heart. Chapter 15 Qiu Chen's Past. And Zijin was stunned. Cousin, are you really not going to study anymore? What does this sentence mean? She didn't understand. Cousin, you study for yourself, and you have a good foundation. Even though you are the last in the class, no, the last in the school, my dad still asks me to learn from you every day. Your foundation is not bad. And Zijin listened to Qiu Zhu's words and felt that there was something else behind them. It was as if Qiu Chen's academic performance had always been very good, but suddenly, he didn't know what happened or what unexpected change he encountered, and he became very unwilling to study. As a result, my grades dropped to the bottom of the school. Yeah, have you forgotten the medals and certificates you won in junior high school? Qiu Zhu was doing her homework. She said without even looking up, at that time, you were recognized as the best student in our Qiu family. No junior could get better than you. You were also known as the student in the Qiu family who had the best chance of getting into Peking University or Tsinghua University. At this point, Qiu Zhu stopped writing and sighed slightly. Now, let alone Tsinghua or Peking University, it's good enough if you can get into a third-tier university. Although there is no distinction between first-tier, second-tier and third-tier universities now, and they are all called undergraduate universities, third-tier universities are still third-tier universities. It is impossible that the teaching staff of third-tier universities can be comparable to those of first-tier universities just because they are all called undergraduate universities. This is unrealistic. And Zijin was stunned. She didn't recover from Qiu Zhu's words. So Qiu Zhu was saying just now that Qiu Chen had very good academic performance in junior high school. Hearing Qiu Zhu's words, and Zijin became interested. Sister, I forgot where I put my medal and certificate. Do you remember? It seems to be in the drawer over there. Qiu Zhu pointed to the drawer under the big TV. In fact, she didn't know exactly where it was. I'll look for it. And Zijin opened the drawer. There are a lot of things in it, such as remote controls, chargers, razors, yearbooks, etc. With the mentality of searching and discovering, and Zijin took out the yearbook and opened it. There were many classmates filling out the yearbook, and most of the messages were to wish Qiu Chen to be admitted to a top university, because at that time Qiu Chen had already been admitted to the best middle school in Haizhou City. Right. And Zijin reacted. If Qiu Chen wasn't a good student, there was no way he would come here to study, unless he paid to buy points. But after seeing Qiu Chen's family conditions, and Zijin gave up this idea. Based on Zijin's current understanding of Qiu Chen's personality, the latter should not spend extra money to buy points. He would not do such a thing. In other words, Qiu Chen was able to be admitted to Haizhou Middle School entirely based on his own hard power. If that is the case, how did Qiu Chen change from a good student to a bad student? And Zijin closed the yearbook and found many certificates and medals in another drawer. Qiu Chen rolled them into a ball like garbage. However, Qiu Chen did not throw them away. Just after ravaging it, he threw it back into the drawer. And Zijin randomly picked out a few balls, untied them and laid them flat. Top scorer of Suzhou Province's high school entrance examination. Haizhou City Learning Star. First prize in campus competition. There are a lot of paper balls in the drawer, and Zijin can't open every one of them. What she was sure of was that Qiu Chen was indeed an excellent student, but for some reason he degraded himself and became what he is now. As for what the reason was, she didn't know. But she really wanted to know. She was curious about everything about Qiu Chen. Since the body swap, she has become more and more interested in Qiu Chen's life than before. And Zijin squeezed the paper ball and put it back in its place, then quietly closed the drawer. She can believe that Qiu Chen is a good student, but if you want her to believe that Qiu Chen was the top scorer in the provincial high school entrance examination, she may never believe it in her life. It was also because of Qiu Chen's existence that she ranked second in the province in the high school entrance examination. Because of this, her mother often blamed her. See, it's all your honor. Qiu Zhu's eyes were filled with unspeakable envy. Cousin, this is the provincial top scorer in the high school entrance examination. I wonder how many points I can get in the exam. Come on. And Zijin gave some encouragement. I'd better forget it. Qiu Zhu shook his head. I know my own weight very well. She didn't seek to be the top scorer in the provincial or municipal high school entrance examination. As long as she could successfully get into this school, she would be satisfied. After eating the skewers and finishing his homework, Qiu Zhu left. The second uncle asked his daughter to come to Qiu Chen's house to do homework, but the bigger reason was that he wanted Qiu Zhu to persuade Qiu Chen. It's a pity to let such a good child fall into depravity. He had tried to persuade them himself, but to no avail. He could only place his hopes on his children. His idea was simple: children might have more common topics to talk about. And Zijin lay alone on Qiu Chen's small broken bed, looking at the ceiling quietly. She didn't know what she was thinking about, but her nose felt sore and she felt like crying. Maybe it's the release from the cage, maybe it's the freedom from the dysfunctional family, maybe. Whatever it is. In short, she is free now. Meow tilde. Meow tilde. The little white cat jumped onto the bed and rubbed Zijin's arm gently with its head. What's wrong, Xiao Mai, are you hungry? Zijin sat up and suddenly remembered that the kitten had not eaten yet. She went to the kitchen, got a bowl, and filled it up for the kitten. She didn't know how much the kitten ate in one meal, so she poured a little cat food for the kitten according to Qiu Chen's quantity. Meow. Perhaps because it had never seen so much cat food before, the kitten raised its head and looked at Zijin, as if saying, "Is this the last meal before execution? By the way, Xiao Mai, what's your name? I can't always call you Xiao Mai, right?" Zijin touched the kitten's fur and watched the kitten eat. She couldn't help but laugh out loud. It feels so good. It only took Zijin less than a day to go from resisting the body swap in the beginning to liking Qiu Chen's body so much now. All I can say is, it smells really good. While the kitten was eating, Zijin took a quick look around Qiu Chen's room. On the cupboard, she saw a picture frame. The glass of the photo frame was broken, and it looked like it had been dropped by someone. Zijin glanced at the photo in the frame. It was a very warm family of three. Qiu Chen's father was very handsome and his mother was very beautiful. They were a perfect match. I am considered an orphan. Zijin suddenly understood this sentence a little. Meow tilde tilde. The kitten was full, so it walked to Zijin's calf and rubbed against it. Zijin casually held the kitten in his arms and turned to look at the cat food in the bowl. Xiao Mai, why do you eat so little? How come you are the same as me? I thought you would eat a lot like your cousin. Zijin was talking to herself while stroking the kitten. I don't know what Qiu Chen is doing. Calculating the time, he should be eating now. I don't know if he will like the food his mother cooks. Chapter 16 Hypoglycemia. Damn it. Qiu Chen cursed in his heart. He swore, really swore to God, he had never eaten anything so disgusting. It just tastes bad. The number is very small. Qiu Chen looked at the food on the plate in front of him, and the corners of his mouth twitched. He felt that he didn't even eat as much as Qiu Zhu's cat. At this time, Zijin's mother had already returned to her room. Qiu Chen looked at the housekeeper beside him. Oh my God, I hastily felt that today's dinner was a little too little. Miss, dinner is not about quantity, but quality. Today's dinner is very nutritious. It can ensure your daily stable nutritional intake without making you fat. It can be said to kill two birds with one stone. Grass. If it wasn't for protecting Zijin's image, Qiu Chen really wanted to curse. The family has so much money and so many housekeepers, so why doesn't Zijin's mother still have to cook for herself? This time, Qiu Chen really realized how difficult it was for Zijin. The food tastes bad, but I have to eat it. I can't even feel full after eating, let alone not eating. As for what the housekeeper said, dinner is not about quantity, but quality. The nutritional value of tonight's dinner is very high. Qiu Chen may never understand this sentence. In his mind, nutritional value is put aside for now. The most important thing is that you have to eat your fill first. How can we talk about nutrition when we can't even get enough to eat? Isn't that just being a hooligan? Qiu Chen finished the most disgusting thing he had ever eaten in his life in just a few bites, then leaned back in his chair in despair. Rubbing his stomach, he suddenly wanted to eat kebabs. No wonder Qiu Chen used Zijin's body to eat in the school cafeteria and was full after just 2 bites. It turned out that Zijin's body had already gotten used to it. If you ask Qiu Chen if he has eaten enough tonight, he might say, Zijin's body is full. It's not easy to be a school belle. Just as I was thinking about it, the housekeeper brought a bowl of soup. Miss, this is wolfberry blood tonifying soup, drink it while it's hot. Who did it? Qiu Chen asked subconsciously. Miss, I made this. Good. Qiu Chen picked up the soup and slowly poured it into his mouth. 10 minutes later. Qiu Chen returned to the room. We were supposed to have yogurt today, but Nzijin had her period, so we cancelled it. Of course, this was just an excuse Qiu Chen made for himself. Looking at the textbooks and test papers in front of him, he picked up the pen several times and put it down several times. Do. How to do it? I can't understand it at all. Well. Qiu Chen sighed. When people don't want to do homework, they can play with carbon pens for a whole day. He picked up a carbon pen, with a cap on the front and back, and spun it madly on the 5 fingers of his right hand. This is what Qiu Chen likes very much, pen spinning. But he wasn't very skilled and occasionally dropped it on the table. Bang! Qiu Chen dropped the pen to the ground. He was half squatting, preparing to pick it up. Suddenly, a feeling of dizziness came over Qiu Chen, and he felt a little dizzy and his consciousness was a little fuzzy. Before falling to the ground, his last thought was, should I change it back? After all, that's how it's played out in the movies. After an unknown amount of time, Qiu Chen woke up. He thought he could get his body back, or at worst, she would be helped to lie on the bed. But the result? Qiu Chen was still using Nzijin's body, and he himself was still lying on the ground, with no one caring about him. He braced himself on the floor and leaned against the cupboard. Suddenly, a feeling of sadness surged into Qiu Chen's heart. He was thinking, if the real Nzijin committed suicide in this room, probably no one would find out in a short time, right? Suicide. Qiu Chen turned his head and looked at the balcony not far away. That was the beginning of the dream. At this moment, Qiu Chen seemed to understand why he and Nzijin had to swap bodies, and why Nzijin wanted to commit suicide. Even Qiu Chen couldn't stay in such a deformed family, let alone a weak little girl like Nzijin. He stood up unsteadily and sat down on a chair. Opening the drawer, Qiu Chen found a piece of candy. When he saw the colorful candies inside, he knew he had guessed right. Nzijin has hypoglycemia, and it is severe hypoglycemia. For this symptom, eating sugar can only slightly relieve it. The most important and simplest thing is to eat enough at every meal. All kinds of fish and meat are arranged, instead of just a small amount of beef or seafood for every meal, and it is called balanced nutrition. Of course, balanced nutrition is one aspect, but what is the point of balanced nutrition if I'm not full? It's better to be Qiu Chen, it's really not easy to be Nzijin. After eating a few pieces of candy, Qiu Chen felt much better. He picked up the test paper bought by Nzijin's mother and began to write randomly, guessing all the ABCDs and using the search software for the calculation questions. Because Nzijin's handwriting was quite beautiful, Qiu Chen wrote very slowly, paying extra attention to every stroke. Now, we don't care whether the handwriting looks similar or not. As long as he didn't scribble and completed his homework successfully, he could fool his teacher and mother. Just like that, Qiu Chen began to write Nzijin's paper seriously. He never thought that he could work so hard after entering the 3rd year of high school. At the same time, on Nzijin's side, not only does she need to complete the homework assigned by the teacher today, she also needs to complete the test paper that Qiu Chen promised to give to the physics teacher. After all, her name is Qiu Chen now. What's more difficult is that she has to imitate Qiu Chen's handwriting, which is a ghost painting. For Nzijin, it would be better to let her do a few more papers. She really didn't want to write ugly words. Tilde. After finishing the test paper, Nzijin prepared to close their windows, turn on the air conditioner and go to sleep. She doesn't like staying up late, except for doing homework, practicing guitar, doing yoga. Well, at home, she seems to always stay up late. When Nzijin was looking for the air conditioner remote control, she suddenly realized that Qiu Chen's house didn't seem to have an air conditioner. There was only an old electric fan that made a squeaking sound. This. Nzijin didn't expect that there are still people who don't have air conditioning at home. It was hard for her to imagine how Qiu Chen managed to survive such a hot summer. What she didn't know was that Qiu Chen spent most of his time playing games in the internet cafe, where the air conditioning was free. Night. Qiu Chen was lying in the air-conditioned room, unable to sleep. Nzijin was lying in a room without air conditioning, also suffering from insomnia. One was worried about what would happen next, the other was too hot to sleep. It is said that if you calm your mind you will feel cool, but how can you be calm in such a hot day? And Zijin turned over, took out his phone from under the pillow, and sent a message to Qiu Chen. Qiu Chen, are you asleep? Without. Qiu Chen replied to the message very quickly. He never made things difficult for himself, so since he couldn't sleep, he decided to just swim in the canyon. Go to bed early. Don't get up too late tomorrow, or your mother will scold you. Well, good night. Good night. After chatting with Qiu Chen for a few words, and Zijin's heart suddenly became very calm. He closed his eyes. Maybe it was because he had just finished chatting, or maybe it was because this body was Qiu Chen, but the boy in his mind refused to run away. There was no choice but to take him to sleep. Chapter 17. The body is returned. The next day. It was just dawn. Qiu Chen woke up from his sleep, he picked up his phone and checked the time. 6:30. And Zijin's body has a biological clock, so why does he wake up so early? Qiu Chen muttered to himself, put down his phone, and prepared to take a nap. The next moment, he suddenly opened his eyes and picked up the mobile phone beside him. It was an Apple phone, not his own iPhone. Qiu Chen pulled the quilt aside in disbelief and looked down. Key props, yes. And bring it with you. Today, he is back to being himself. Har har, har 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 woo. Qiu Chen cried with joy. Although he was a little poor and his living conditions were poor, his health was good and his family did not have as many problems as in Zijin's. It's better to be a boy with a dick. Qiu Chen looked at the papers on the table. They were all written by Zijin. Moreover, she even imitated his scribbles and wrote very ugly characters. Good. Qiu Chen jumped off the bed in his pants. Meow tilde tilde. The little white cat rubbed Qiu Chen's ankle. Why is his cousin so strange today? Xiaobai, when did you come? Qiu Chen picked up Xiaobai and placed it next to the bowl. Only then did he notice the cat food in the bowl. Grass. So many. Looking at the small hill that was a little taller than Xiaobai, Qiu Chen was really shocked. Xiaobai, you are in for a treat. Putting Xiaobai down, he began to take off his clothes. The first thing to do after getting your body back is to take a bath. Qiu Chen took off all his clothes, hummed a song and walked to the bathroom, took a nice bath, changed his clothes, and threw his boxer briefs into the basin, ready to wash when he came back in the evening. At this time, on the other side. And Zijin looked a little embarrassed and angry. She found that except for her underwear, all her clothes had been taken off by Qiu Chen. Actually, there is nothing we can do about it. It was impossible for Qiu Chen to sleep in a skirt, and he couldn't sleep in a skirt either. Change into pajamas. Qiu Chen couldn't even find where Zijin's pajamas were. While packing her school bag, Zijin found the test paper that Qiu Chen had given her. There is a lot of writing on it. Although the handwriting is not very beautiful, it can be seen that Qiu Chen has tried very hard to write in regular script. Some of the questions on the test paper were beyond the syllabus, and even Zijin had difficulty answering them, but Qiu Chen managed to answer them all. This shows that he was the one who searched for these questions. After putting away the test papers, Zijin changed into a long skirt, washed up and went downstairs without any hesitation. At this time, her mother was sitting at the dining table waiting for her. Looking at Zijin's clothes, her mother frowned. Good morning, mother. Zijin, you still wear a skirt when you have your period. Is that what I taught you? Forehead. Zijin was stunned. She had no memory of Qiu Chen using this body, so she didn't know what happened. But when he saw his mother's expression and heard what she said, Zijin reacted quickly. Yes, I'm sorry mother, I'll change it right away. Zijin guessed that Qiu Chen was using her menstrual period as an excuse to avoid practicing guitar and yoga. But, can he synchronize with himself first? Zijin returned to his room and changed into a pair of jeans. He hurried downstairs again. Zijin, you can be conceited, but you have to consider the situation. If this happens again, I will throw all your skirts away. I'm sorry, mother. Zijin's apology was very sincere. She was used to bowing her head in front of her mother. Yeah, let's eat. Thank you, mother. Zijin sat down and looked at the food on the table. She lost her appetite again. Her mother was the kind of person who loved to cook but couldn't cook. Every time, Zijin had to force herself to swallow the discomfort. To be honest, she wanted to eat the kebabs from last night. Eat quickly. After you're done, the housekeeper will take you to school. The mother got up and went back to her room. The housekeeper would take care of the things on the table, so she didn't have to do anything. And Zajin responded in a low voice. After dinner, she took a bus to school. Hey, boss, give me 2 big buns, vegetarian ones. And Zajin was almost at school, but Qiu Chen was still downstairs buying buns. In fact, 2 vegetarian buns were not enough to fill him up. But there was no way. The living expenses his mother gave him every month were limited, and it was difficult for him to spend too much. Hey young man, take it. The buns are hot, eat slowly. Thank you, boss. After changing back to his body, Qiu Chen was in a very good mood. Normally he hated the shouting of the vendors downstairs in the morning because they disturbed his sleep. But today, he felt that there was no sound more pleasant than this. When he arrived at school, Qiu Chen just sat down. Wang Tong snatched the half-remaining bun from Qiu Chen's hand, and then handed the rujiamo in his hand to Qiu Chen. Brother Chen, I bought too much. This is for you. I'll eat the buns. Qiu Chen didn't say anything, took the rujiamo and took a big bite. Wang Tong often does this and he has gotten used to it. Brother Chen, let's not study today, right? Wang Tong looked at Qiu Chen cautiously. He was not worried that Qiu Chen was studying secretly, he was just afraid that Qiu Chen had been stimulated in some way. After the excitement comes despair. Wang Tong didn't want to see this scene. I don't want to learn, let's play with the gang. Qiu Chen was about to take out his iPhone, but as soon as he touched the camera, he realized something was wrong and quickly changed his words, call me during class. Brother Chen, the familiar you is finally back. I'm almost tired of playing the Happy Match game you recommended. Happy Match 3. Qiu Chen had a strange expression on his face. Just as I was thinking about it, and Zajin walked into the classroom. A few minutes later, she glanced at Qiu Chen and left the classroom. Seeing in Zajin's eyes, Qiu Chen left from the back door and followed in Zajin's steps. Hey, Brother Chen, is the campus beauty of Anhui University looking at you? As soon as Wang Tong finished speaking, he turned around and found that his brother Chen was gone, At this time, at the end of the corridor. And Zajin returned Qiu Chen's phone to him, what's going on with our bodies? I don't know either. Qiu Chen shrugged. He didn't do anything, he simply took off his clothes and went to sleep, and when he woke up, he had magically turned back into himself. You'd better come up with a different excuse next time. Now Zajin not only needs to fulfill Qiu Chen's lie, but also has to practice guitar for an extra hour tonight to make up for yesterday. At first, she thought her mother would find out that she was lying. Later, she found that she was overthinking. The mother has no idea when her period is. There won't be a next time, right? Qiu Chen looked at Zajin and blurted out, why, you still want to use my body? Who wants to use your body? And Zajin's face turned red, but she was still making excuses for herself. I'm just telling you, what if it changes again? We'll talk about it when the time comes. Qiu Chen said casually. He didn't like Zajin's body very much. No, to be precise, he didn't like Zajin's family atmosphere very much. There is always a feeling of oppression, not only from Zajin's mother, but also from the guitar teacher. After getting his phone back, Qiu Chen prepared to return to the classroom. Suddenly, Zajin grabbed Qiu Chen's hand, but in an instant, she realized something was wrong and quickly let go, with a blush drifting to her earlobe. What's wrong? Qiu Chen, were your grades in junior high school very good? What do you think? Qiu Chen asked back. I think. Before Zajin could finish her words, a scolding voice sounded behind them, it's almost time for class. Which class are you two from? That boy, come here. Chapter 18 Family Reasons. Oh. Qiu Chen responded lightly. As a poor student, he was a frequent visitor to the teacher's office. He didn't dare to say that he knew all the school leaders, but he knew most of them. The teacher who called him over was the head of the grade department for senior year. Are you okay? And Zajin asked worriedly behind Qiu Chen. What's this? Qiu Chen had already gotten used to it, you go back first. Well, tell me if you have anything. In Chinese schools, except for those with connections, teachers like students with good academic performance the most. There is no school leader who doesn't like super excellent students like Inzajin. Qiu Chen nodded and walked up to the director. Come with me. Just when the director wanted to take Qiu Chen back to the office for a talk, Qiu Chen's physics teacher happened to walk out of the office. She saw Qiu Chen at first sight. Teacher Wang, what's wrong with this student in my class? Teacher Yin, it's nothing serious. I just saw him being affectionate with that girl, as if they were dating. You know that this is the critical time for high school seniors to sprint, so it's best to avoid dating. Dating? Teacher Yin pushed her glasses up on her nose. She pointed at Qiu Chen and then at Inzajin. Are you talking about them? I just came out and saw them holding hands. Teacher Wang, I think you misunderstood. Teacher Yin took 2 steps forward and protected Qiu Chen behind him. Maybe you didn't see clearly because the distance was too far. That girl is the top student in the school, and this boy is the bottom student. You said they were dating, but I think it must be a misunderstanding. First in the whole school. Teacher Wang, the head of the grade department, looked at the girl carefully and said, Inzajin. Yes. Teacher Yin nodded. Yesterday I asked student to persuade Qiu Chen when he has time. He is already in his 3rd year of high school, and it is time for him to work hard. Qiu Chen. Teacher Wang frowned. He remembered the name, but he couldn't remember who it belonged to. The provincial top scorer in the high school entrance exam, Qiu Chen. The provincial champion now has the worst grades in the school. Teacher Wang looked at Qiu Chen. No matter what he did, he couldn't combine the 2 words provincial top student and last in the school together. Yeah. Teacher Yin was silent for a while and nodded. This is also what she doesn't understand the most. How could he have fallen to such a state in 3 years of high school when his results in the high school entrance exam were so good? Is it because of lack of ability, or because they simply don't want to learn? Is it because they are willing to fall into depravity, or is it because they are forced to fall into depravity? Well. Teacher Wang sighed, with regret for Qiu Chen in his eyes. Teacher Yin, please persuade him more. It's not too late to turn back now. After saying that, Teacher Wang walked back to the office. After hearing what Teacher Yin said, he believed that Inzajin and Qiu Chen were not dating. You can go back. Teacher Yin said to Inzajin, then she turned her head and looked at Qiu Chen beside her. Come with me. Following the physics teacher into the office, Qiu Chen kept his head down. This is the rule, he summed up. As long as you keep your head down and admit your mistakes, the teacher generally won't say too much. At most, he will nag you for a few words and then let you go. Didn't tell you to do at least 1 physics paper a day. Yes. Qiu Chen nodded. Yesterday, he was in Zajin, and it was him who came to the physics teacher's office today. He was Qiu Chen, and it was also him who came to the physics teacher's office. Did you write it? No. Why? Teacher Yin asked in a kind tone. She poured Qiu Chen a glass of water and motioned for Qiu Chen to sit down and talk. Qiu Chen didn't hesitate and sat down in front of Teacher Yin. I won't. Qiu Chen shook his head and answered decisively. You can learn if you don't know how to do it. If you don't even want to learn, then you really don't know how to do it. Qiu Chen, you are already an adult. You should know the consequences of such self-deception better than I do. Teacher Yin's face was engraved with traces of time. When she looked at Qiu Chen, her eyes were filled with helplessness, regret, and anger. Combining these complex expressions together, Qiu Chen saw kindness on Teacher Yin's face again. She really hopes Qiu Chen can get better, and she also really hopes Qiu Chen can be admitted to a good university and have a bright future. I'm so sorry, Mr. Yin. Qiu Chen apologized. My level is limited, and I really can't learn these high school knowledge. Not being able to learn and not wanting to learn are 2 completely different things. Teacher Yin has been teaching Qiu Chen since the 1st year of high school, and she thinks she knows this child quite well. Seeing Qiu Chen was silent, Teacher Yin continued, Qiu Chen, is there something wrong at home? If possible, please tell the teacher. As long as it is within my ability, the teacher will help. A large part of the reason why a top student can suddenly become a poor student lies in his family. The quality of a family will directly affect the child's life. There is no teacher, but my home is very good. When Qiu Chen said this, there was a slight change in his tone. Teacher Yin heard it. Since Qiu Chen didn't want to talk about it, she couldn't keep asking, But what she was sure of was that there seemed to be problems in Qiu Chen's family. What kind of family problems could make Qiu Chen become what he is now? Teacher Yin didn't dare to make a blind guess. She just felt that Qiu Chen could still be saved. She wanted to save Qiu Chen. Qiu Chen, I think it's not too late to start learning now. Teacher Yin. Qiu Chen smiled bitterly. I think you should focus your energy on those middle-level students. A worst of the bottom student like me is hopeless. You shouldn't waste your time and energy on me. He didn't want to study anymore. The reason he didn't drop out of school was because he was just trying to get by. Poor students all have the same idea: live one day at a time, and do their best to achieve their goals. I don't think you're right. Teacher Yin pushed up his glasses and said, in my class, every student is the same. There is no distinction between good students and bad students. There are only those who are willing to learn and those who are unwilling to learn. I'm sorry, Mr. Yin. The high temperature outside can melt everything, and only the air conditioning in the office can bring a little coolness. But in this coolness, Qiu Chen felt cold. It doesn't come from the outside, it comes from deep inside. A feeling of powerlessness enveloped Qiu Chen. He clenched his fists, and his voice became a little hoarse. I'm sorry, Teacher Yin. I'll go back and prepare for class first. After leaving the last words, Qiu Chen turned and left. Teacher Yin looked at his back and did not speak to stop him, but made a decision in his heart. She wanted to know what had happened in Qiu Chen's family that could have caused a good student to become like this. Return to the classroom. Qiu Chen sat in his seat bored, with random thoughts running through his mind. Suddenly, he became aware that someone was watching him. Qiu Chen looked up and saw Zijin, who had turned around. The two of them just stared at each other in silence. Chapter 19. Two wingmen lead the flight. This morning, Zijin kept looking back at Qiu Chen. 1 or 2 times was fine, after all, Zijin was the school beauty. Being able to see the school beauty's face was a feast for the eyes. But as it happened more frequently, Qiu Chen gradually realized that something was wrong. Why is she looking at you all the time? Wang Tong asked. Have no idea. Qiu Chen shrugged. Wang Tong's question is also the answer that Qiu Chen wants to know most. Could it be because? Why? Because she really likes you, and it feels like a long time since she last saw you. Wang Tong understood this feeling very well. This is the budding of emotions in youth romance novels. I don't know. I'm going to sleep. Qiu Chen withdrew his gaze from Zijin, then lay on the table and closed his eyes. Last night, Qiu Chen didn't sleep well at all because he was in a new body and a new environment. Hey, Brother Chen, don't sleep anymore, the campus beauty of Anhui University is back again. Qiu Chen didn't say anything, but raised his head slightly and took a look. As a result, he only saw Zijin's back and heard Wang Tong's laughter beside him. Brother Chen, let me tell you, you still. Hey, Brother Chen, a gentleman should talk instead of taking action. Hiss. Wang Tong hissed in pain. Qiu Chen hardly used any strength in this punch. In addition, Wang Tong had thick skin and Qiu Chen didn't believe that he would feel any pain. Ignoring Wang Tong, he lay on the table and continued to sleep. Hey, Brother Chen, this time the campus beauty of Anhui University really came back. Qiu Chen didn't speak or look up. Once bitten by a snake, you will be afraid of ropes for 10 years. He is in such a state now. Unless he sees it with his own eyes, he will not believe anything Wang Tong says. This time it's real. Seeing Qiu Chen ignoring him, Wang Tong sighed. The trust between people was destroyed just like that. In this case, he had no choice but to open the puzzle game recommended by Brother Chen yesterday, Happy Candy Crush. He found that this game was sometimes more fun than the penguin game. Seeing Qiu Chen sleeping, Zijin clenched her little pink fists. Sleep again. Are you looking at Qiu Chen? Zijin just turned around and her deskmate, the girl named Dora, asked. This Dora girl is called Yi Yuan. She has a good relationship with Zijin in class 1 of grade 3. Qiu Chen turns out to be quite capable. He and I went to the same junior high school, but he probably doesn't know me. Do you know who is the top scorer in our province's high school entrance exam? Yi Yuan said a lot in a low and intermittent voice, as if she was talking to herself, or as if she was talking to Zijin. Who? Zijin asked knowingly. Qiu Chen. Yi Yuan took a piece of paper and a pen and began to write and draw on Zijian's desk, as if she was discussing a problem. I know you ranked second in the provincial high school entrance exam, but the difference between you two is not just the first and second place. If I remember correctly, the difference between you two is more than 20 points, and you are only 2 points away from the third place. Yi Yuan said, with undisguised envy in her eyes, Qiu Chen, first by a huge margin. For someone like him, no matter how hard he works, his score won't improve much. This is the difference between a genius and an ordinary person. But at this point, Yi Yuan's expression was the same as Teacher Yin's, full of regret. His grades are now at the bottom of the class and even the whole school. To put it bluntly, throwing the answer sheet on the ground and stepping on it twice would still give you a higher score than Qiu Chen. Why did he become like this? And Zijian asked curiously. She knew most of what Yi Yuan said. But what she wanted to know more was what caused Qiu Chen to become like this. Have no idea. Yi Yuan shook her head. It seems that since the first year of high school, he has fallen into depravity. No one knows the reason, maybe Wang Tong knows. Wang Tong. And Zijian turned around and looked at Qiu Chen again. One of them was sleeping and the other was playing games. Zijian. And Zijian turned around and looked at Yi Yuan. What's wrong? Are you and Qiu Chen dating? Not yet, no. In fact, I personally feel that if you can find the reason why Qiu Chen fell into depravity and rescue him, you two will be a perfect match. Moreover, you will definitely be very happy to be with Qiu Chen, and you can also find something you like to do and relieve yourself of stress. Yi Yuan knew something about Zijian's family affairs. Although she doesn't know as much as Cici, she knows the most about Zijian compared to other people in the class. If I ask directly, I'm afraid Qiu Chen won't tell me, right? If we're dating, maybe it will work. Is it possible? You always need an identity to be close to him. Let me think about it. And Zijian's mind was full of thoughts about finding out why Qiu Chen had fallen into such depravity. She was full of curiosity about Qiu Chen. And here is also the beginning. She explained to herself that the physics class representative needed to pay attention to the learning status of her classmates. As he thought about it, and Zijian suddenly felt a little hot. The classroom was crowded and there were only 2 air conditioners, one in the front and one in the back. She was wearing jeans again today. Although Zijian is weak and suffers from coldness, she would still feel hot in the hot summer. You can go to him for lunch at noon. Yi Yuan suggested. Relationships need to be cultivated bit by bit. For example, Qiu Chen certainly doesn't lack sudden care. What he lacks most is probably long-term companionship. And Zijian didn't reply. Just like that, the morning passed quickly. Brother Chen, don't sleep anymore. It's time to eat. Eat first and then go to sleep. Wang Tong woke Qiu Chen up. Qiu Chen sat up straight and dozed off with his eyes closed. He slept very comfortably. Apart from Wang Tong, the person who sees Qiu Chen sleeping the longest should be Zijian, right? What are you having for lunch? Wang Tong touched his stomach. He was a little hungry today. Rice, noodles, or pie. Eat whatever you have. Qiu Chen rubbed his eyes and yawned. There were red marks on his forehead from sleeping, which looked quite funny. Do you want to ask your sister-in-law to eat with you? Sister-in-law. Qiu Chen was stunned for a moment and didn't react for a moment. After he understood what Wang Tong meant, he shook his head and refused. Why are you asking me to do that? TSK. Wang Tong smacked his lips. Qiu Chen didn't see it, but he saw it all. In 1 hour, Zijian looked back at least 60 times, an average of once a minute. With this frequency, if you said that they had no relationship, Wang Tong would be the first to disbelieve it. I'm going to the bathroom first. It's time to get out of school and have dinner soon. Qiu Chen turned on his mobile phone and checked the time for Wang Tong. I will be back before the bell rings. Wang Tong took a roll of paper and went straight to the toilet. After Wang Tong left, Qiu Chen took out his phone to watch videos. He knew that Zijian was looking at him, but he didn't know why Zijian was looking at him. Soon, the bell rang for the end of get out of class. Wang Tong did not come back early as he said. However, an acquaintance appeared in front of Qiu Chen. What's wrong? Qiu Chen looked at Zijian and Yi Yuan standing in front of him. It's like this. Yi Yuan wasn't very good at talking to boys, but for Zijian, she sorted out her thoughts, and Zajin forgot to bring her meal card for lunch today, so you can take her out for lunch. I don't have any money on my meal card, I'll go and top it up later, you don't have to wait for me. After Yi Yuan finished speaking, and Zajin first glanced at Yi Yuan, then looked at Qiu Chen nervously. She was completely different now than she was before. Today she seemed very afraid of being rejected by Qiu Chen. Looking at Zajin, Qiu Chen nodded, okay. But you need to wait for Wang Tong. Chapter 20 Sister-in-law, my brother Chen wants to have dinner with you. At this time, Wang Tong was squatting in the toilet and having fun. After successfully passing a new level, he checked the time. Brother Chen and sister-in-law should be leaving, right? Wang Tong wiped his butt and stood up, muttering to himself, I am such a fucking great wingman. Time goes back to 1 hour ago. Wang Tong is playing games. Yi Yuan called him out during the break and told Wang Tong her plan. After hearing this, Wang Tong agreed without thinking. As long as it is beneficial to Qiu Chen, he will support it unconditionally. Wang Tong walked out of the toilet humming a song and just arrived at the classroom. He was shocked to find Qiu Chen, and Zajin and Yi Yuan were all there. Not one left. No. Wang Tong scratched his head. Why are they all here? It turns out that he spent a lot of time smelling the stench in the toilet, but it was all in vain. Let's go and have dinner, Qiu Chen said, and walked in front. Wang Tong glanced at Yi Yuan, their helplessness on the latter's face almost overflowing the screen. Go ahead. Yi Yuan patted Zajin gently. Yeah. And Zajin nodded. This was the second time she and Qiu Chen had dinner together. The first time was yesterday because of a sudden body swap and there was nothing we could do. But today. And Zajin couldn't find an excuse to comfort herself. On campus, usually only couples eat together, and everyone tacitly abides by this rule. Hey, brother Chen, I have a stomachache. How about you guys go first and I'll follow? Wang Tong is considerate and he wants to make room for Qiu Chen and Zajin. How can a boy eat with a girl and bring another boy with him? Why is his brother Chen so dull? What Wang Tong didn't know was that from the moment Yi Yuan and Zajin came over, Qiu Chen already understood what they meant. Combined with the fact that Wang Tong suddenly went to the toilet, Qiu Chen immediately understood. It was because he understood this that he wanted to take Wang Tong with him for dinner. What is the simplest cost of destroying a person? Spreading rumors. Spreading pornographic rumors. Qiu Chen doesn't care. Rumors can't defeat him at all. During the 3 years of high school, he had already trained his skin to be thicker than the Great Wall, and no rumor could make Qiu Chen angry. But Zajin can't do that. Given her mother's weird personality, if she knew that Zajin had a boyfriend at school, wouldn't she scold her to death when Zajin came home at night? Her mother doesn't care whether it's true or not. As long as there are such remarks, she will feel ashamed and will get angry at Zajin. When 3 people have dinner together, basically no one will be suspicious or spread rumors. At least, it's a little safer than 2 people eating alone. Qiu Chen was halfway there when he suddenly realized that Zajin and Wang Tong hadn't caught up with him. Seeing this, he turned back. When he came to them, the first words Qiu Chen heard were, Sister-in-law, what do you like about my brother Chen? Sister-in-law, if possible, can you have dinner with brother Chen more often in the future? Sister-in-law, I'm sorry, brother Chen has actually wanted to have dinner with you for a long time. Ahem. Qiu Chen coughed twice, signaling Wang Tong to stop talking. Look, this 1.80-foot tall guy is as shy as a little girl, and he even has to invite me to dinner. Sister-in-law, do you like this contrast of him? Qiu Chen? And Zajin was a little embarrassed at first, but after hearing what Wang Tong said, she felt that Qiu Chen should be the embarrassed one, and then she was not so embarrassed anymore. Stop talking. If it's any later, we'll have to eat the leftovers. After Qiu Chen finished speaking, he turned around and led the way. His expression was very natural, so natural that it seemed a little unnatural. In fact, he was even more nervous than Zajin. But he is thick-skinned and knows how to pretend. Canteen. Wang Tong was queuing up in advance. Qiu Chen looked at Zajin and asked, what do you want to eat? Just a rice bowl and some vegetarian dishes will do. She didn't dare eat too much, not because she was afraid of spending Qiu Chen's money, of course that was one reason. Another reason was that she was afraid of getting fat. The mother doesn't like her fat daughter. Vegetarian. Qiu Chen glanced at the thin Zijin and said nothing more, but nodded slightly, okay. He had eaten the meal cooked by Zijin's family last night. In other words, it's not called a meal at all. It's too little and tastes bad. I don't know what Zijin's mother thinks. How about fried sausage? Too oily. Want a nice drink? It's too cold. Zijin wanted to eat, but her body wouldn't allow her to. If she could still exchange bodies with Qiu Chen, she would definitely try all the delicacies in the world. What's cold, oily, unhealthy? Just enjoy it. Qiu Chen lined up behind Wang Tong. He glanced at Wang Tong. The kid was playing Candy Crush while waiting in line. Is this game really that fun? Suddenly, Wang Tong turned his head to look at Qiu Chen and exclaimed, "The campus beauty of Anhui University is looking at you." Qiu Chen looked at Wang Tong as if he were a fool, and the expression on his face seemed to say, "Am I so easy to fool? Hey, Brother Chen, I'm just teasing you." After a while, Wang Tong exclaimed again, "The campus beauty of Anhui University fell down, and no one helped her." Qiu Chen rolled his eyes helplessly. Zijin is an adult after all, and he can stand up on his own after falling down. Moreover, this is probably fake. According to Qiu Chen's observation, Zijin seemed to have been sitting still. The team moved forward slowly. Many students order several meals for themselves. Although there were only 5 or 6 people in front of them, if you counted carefully, there should be no less than 20 people in front of them. At this time, Wang Tong turned around again, with a shocked expression on his face. "Brother Chen, a man is asking my sister-in-law for her contact information. My sister-in-law took out her cell phone and gave it to her." Although he didn't quite believe it, Qiu Chen still subconsciously wanted to look back. He was just curious, just watching the fun, just a natural reaction of his body. Qiu Chen made many excuses for himself. But in the final analysis, he was still worried that someone would ask Zijin for his contact information. He, Brother Chen, I'm just teasing you." Wang Tong chuckled, "I thought you were not interested in your sister-in-law." Qiu Chen glanced at Zijin, and there was no one beside her. But there are still many people around who pay attention to Zijin. Most of them are men. At this moment, she was staring at Qiu Chen's back in a daze. Zijin was slightly startled when she noticed Qiu Chen's gaze. Then, the corners of her mouth slightly raised, outlining a gentle and moving smile. Her eyes sparkled with warmth, and their gazes met Qiu Chen's in the air. This was the umpteenth time they had stared at each other today. At this moment, her mentality has calmed down and she can face Qiu Chen calmly. Qiu Chen smiled back. Just like that, a simple smile became a bridge of communication between the two and brought them closer together. "What do you think? Is your sister-in-law more than worthy of you?" Wang Tong said with a smile, looking at Qiu Chen's expression. Qiu Chen shook his head. "Why, not worthy?" Wang Tong kindly advised, "Brother Chen, although you are not ugly, you can't be so conceited, right?" Qiu Chen shook his head. "I'm not worthy of him." Chapter 21. Intersecting things are not parallel, and parallel things are not intersecting. What is worthy and what is not worthy? Wang Tong started a large-scale double-standard scene. "I think you two are a perfect match, talented man and beautiful woman." Qiu Chen shook his head. Wang Tong is his good brother and will definitely speak in his favor. If we really want to say whether they are a good match or not, we have to see what the woman says. Wait. Why are we suddenly talking about this? He and Zijin haven't even started dating yet. How many points did you get in the last monthly physics exam? It seems to be 12 points. Sister-in-law is the representative of the physics class. Do you know how many points she got? It seems to be the highest score in the class, 88 points. What is 88 plus 12? 100. Yes, the sum of your two test scores equals full marks. What does this mean? Wang Tong did not give Qiu Chen a chance to answer. He explained first, "It means that the sum of your two scores is perfect." Qiu Chen. He had a feeling that Wang Tong seemed to be scolding him. The combined scores of the first and second place in physics are over 100. Isn't that perfect? Qiu Chen asked back. You can't make that analogy. How's the analogy? Brother Chen, there's something wrong with your brain. Wang Tong originally wanted to prove that Qiu Chen and Zijin were very compatible and a perfect match. But Qiu Chen kept looking for trouble and even gave examples to refute him. Just then, Wang Tong ran away. Brother Chen, people have urgent needs, eat next time. Looking at the aunt at the window, Qiu Chen gritted his teeth and ordered 2 rice bowls, 1 vegetarian and 1 half vegetarian and half meat. Depend on. Qiu Chen is numb. As soon as Wang Tong left, he had to have dinner with Nzijin alone. There were a lot of people sitting next to Nzijin, both boys and girls, most of whom were people who couldn't find a seat. At this time, there should be nothing wrong for Qiu Chen to sit in front of Nzijin. Of course, that's not the point. The point is, Qiu Chen doesn't want to have dinner with Nzijin alone. He is running away. Today, Qiu Chen was in a mess. Teacher Yin's words reminded him of the unbearable past. He has a bit of low self-esteem. After seeing Nzijin, this idea became stronger. Handing the vegetarian rice bowl in his hand to Nzijin, Qiu Chen sat opposite her with his head down. Thanks. Nzijin thanked him. Thank you is a polite word, but it can also distance the relationship between the two parties. Anyway, Qiu Chen and Wang Tong never say thank you. Qiu Chen didn't reply, but just buried his head in eating. The meal was a quiet one. It may be because of the people around him, or it may be because Qiu Chen's mentality has changed. Teacher Yin's words today successfully stirred up Qiu Chen's long-forgotten memories. Someone noticed Qiu Chen standing opposite school beautician. But most people didn't take it seriously. Moreover, there are both men and women at the table, which makes it difficult for people to be suspicious. After dinner, Qiu Chen and Nzijin returned to their classroom one after another. The teacher didn't blame you for what happened this morning, right? Nzijin trotted forward and walked side by side with Qiu Chen. Fine. Qiu Chen shook his head. They won't believe that the number 1 student in the school is in love with the number 1 student in the school. In fact, Qiu Chen is not the last in the school, he just has the habit of making fun of himself in this way. But, you were the provincial top scorer in the high school entrance exam. Nzijin raised this question. Hearing this, Qiu Chen knew that Nzijin had seen the award certificates that he had crumpled into pieces. Why? What? Why do you want to degenerate? Nzijin tilted her head and stared at Qiu Chen. Qiu Chen's profile was clearly reflected in her beautiful eyes that were as crystal clear as clear spring water. Qiu Chen turned his head and looked at Nzijin. He knew that the only reason he was able to get in touch with Nzijin was because of that inexplicable body swap. If I didn't have that thing, perhaps I would never sit down to eat with Nzijin in my life, nor would I go back to the classroom with Nzijin. In this case, there is no need for him to have any unrealistic fantasies. Qiu Chen thinks so. Why? Qiu Chen looked up at the sky. It was very hot today, but his heart was too cold. He shook his head and the subject ended there. Everything that happened yesterday seemed like a dream. Today, the dream woke up. Both he and Nzijin need to return to their respective roles. Not long after he finished speaking, Qiu Chen had already walked in front of Nzijin. No matter what the reason was, he couldn't go back with Nzijin. Looking at Qiu Chen's back, following his steps, and as he walked farther and farther away, Nzijin's expression gradually became lost. She knew that the reason she was able to get in touch with Qiu Chen was entirely because of that inexplicable body swap. If it weren't for that thing, perhaps I would never have sat down to eat with Qiu Chen in my life, nor would I have gone back to the classroom with Qiu Chen. In that case, there was no need for her to have any unrealistic fantasies. But obviously we have already talked about this topic. Why is Qiu Chen still avoiding? Is it because I asked the wrong question, or is it because my identity does not match? She doesn't know. She only knew that she was really curious and really wanted to know more about Qiu Chen. In fact, she also wanted to tell Qiu Chen that next time she didn't need to use her body as an excuse for her menstrual period, she could just say she wasn't feeling well. But come to think of it, maybe there won't be a next time. Qiu Chen and Nzijin did not mention the body swap, and they both tacitly chose to forget about it. Apart from being embarrassing, this topic is completely useless. The breeze gently brushed across Nzijin's face, bringing a hint of coolness, and also blew into the softest place in her heart. Ouch. Suddenly, she felt her nose getting a little sour, as if she had 1,000 words to say but didn't know where to start. Return to the classroom. Qiu Chen lay on the table, blinking his eyes, not knowing what he was doing. He always likes taking naps. But today, he couldn't sleep. My thoughts are in a mess, like fallen leaves blown away by the autumn wind, drifting everywhere and hard to find their home. Brother Chen, what are you thinking about? Wang Tong successfully passed the 300th level of Happy Match. He turned his head and looked at Qiu Chen, who was sighing beside him. Intersecting things will not be parallel, and parallel things will not intersect. Mathematics, right? Wang Tong waved his hand. I'm not interested, you figure it out yourself. Time passed quickly in the afternoon, and for the first time, Qiu Chen felt that class time could pass so quickly. Tomorrow is Saturday, time for high school seniors to relax. Normally at this time of year, Qiu Chen is more excited than anyone else. But today, his face was expressionless. All the previous excitement and happiness turned into sighs and disappeared. Qiu Chen packed up his things and walked out of the school gate with Wang Tong. There's no point thinking so much. Just play a few games in the evening and forget all the unhappy things and people today. Tomorrow is another new beginning. Chapter 22, Body Swap Again. Friday night may be the happiest night for high school students who have been depressed for a long time. No need to do homework, no need to study, no need to think about anything, just go home, take a shower and start playing games. Qiu Chen likes to play many games. Mobile games are like King of Glory and Chicken Dinner. PC games are like FPS and Battle Royale. For Qiu Chen, the biggest difference between mobile games and PC games is that mobile games are a little more cost-effective than PC games because he doesn't have a computer at home. Every time I want to play a PC game, I have to go to an internet cafe. Chen share Wan Wang Tong, Brother Chen, what are we playing tonight? Morning, it's all right. It's up to you. Wang Tong, let us go play PC games. I've booked an esports hotel, which is equipped with computers with the highest configurations. Let us have a great time tonight. Early morning, okay, send the location. Wang Tong sent the location to Qiu Chen. Seeing that his home was not far away, Qiu Chen thought about walking. On the way, he bought some snacks at the supermarket. 15 minutes later, Qiu Chen arrived at the esports hotel. Brother Chen. Wang Tong stood up and waved to Qiu Chen. Instant noodles, spicy noodles, and potato chips are all ready. Let's work all night tonight. All. Qiu Chen sat next to Wang Tong, put on headphones, and turned on the FPS first-person shooter game that they often played. In this way, the two of them played from after school until late at night, and from late at night until the early morning. It was not until 6 o'clock in the morning that Wang Tong went to bed. Qiu Chen, on the other hand, fell into a deep sleep at the computer desk half an hour earlier than Wang Tong. To be honest, playing games is tiring. But it is painful and happy. After an unknown amount of time, Qiu Chen suddenly opened his eyes. Looking at the strange yet familiar ceiling, Qiu Chen fell into a long silence. This ceiling pendant seems to be from Nzijin's house. Dream. Qiu Chen tried to touch his chest. The touch feels very real. This is not a dream. He and Nzijin's bodies switched again. I'm so fucking. Qiu Chen really wanted to curse. Both body swaps were caused by playing games in an internet cafe esports hotel. If he had known this earlier, he would have stayed at home and played mobile games. As soon as he sat up, Qiu Chen felt dizzy. Didn't she eat last night? Qiu Chen was very hungry, and he couldn't tell whether it was Nzijin's body that was hungry or his own soul that was hungry. Most likely, Nzijin was hungry. Qiu Chen clearly ate 2 buckets of instant noodles before going to bed. He stumbled to his feet, found the familiar drawer, and took out the candies that Nzijin had prepared in advance. The less you eat, the worse your low blood sugar will be. It took Qiu Chen a long time to calm down before his consciousness gradually returned to normal. There are big problems with Nzijin's body, including weakness, coldness, hypoglycemia, lack of energy, etc. Qiu Chen stood up and glanced at Nzijin's room. There were completed and unfinished test papers on the table, on the floor and even on the bed. It seemed that she stayed up all night last night just like Qiu Chen. The only difference is that she stayed up late to do her homework, while Qiu Chen stayed up late to play games. The two are totally not on the same level. Putting aside the messy placement of test papers, Nzijin's room was very tidy, and the placement of various furniture seemed to be carefully arranged. To be honest, Qiu Chen felt warm at first sight. Its decoration style and colors were very suitable for girls to live in. But the second glance was filled with suffocating oppression. Qiu Chen stood here, in Nzijin's room, and he actually felt like he had difficulty breathing. He knew that it was because of Nzijin's physical condition. It is hard to imagine how much psychological pressure Nzijin was under. But even so, Nzijin in school was still as normal as ever. There was always a smile on her face, as if the Nzijin at home and the Nzijin at school were two different people. Well, Qiu Chen sighed. Some people live every day, some people only live for one day, and then keep copying and pasting the first day's life. Boom boom boom. Miss, it's time to have breakfast. The teacher will come after you finish your meal. Hearing the familiar voice, Qiu Chen had already clenched his fists. Then, it gradually loosened. According to the agreement, she will protect Nzijin's personality. No matter what the reason is, Qiu Chen has no right to help Nzijin now. In other words, Nzijin doesn't necessarily need Qiu Chen's help. Perhaps, she has already gotten used to it. Perhaps she wanted her mother's approval. Or maybe, she was just feeling self-moved, thinking that by doing this, she would be praised by her mother one day. What a fool. Got it. I'll be right out. Qiu Chen said weakly. His voice at this moment was exactly the same as Nzijin's, both were so soft and so hollow. Miss, please hurry up, the lady has been waiting for you for a long time. Qiu Chen shook his head. What kind of life is Nzijin living? It's fine that his mother doesn't love him, but the housekeeper hired by the family doesn't take Nzijin seriously and even uses his mother to pressure Nzijin. What a great official power. Qiu Chen opened the door and walked out of the room. He glanced at the housekeeper outside the door. If his status and conditions did not allow it, Qiu Chen would have recited a few traditional Chinese poems to her. Wait a minute, miss. Just as Qiu Chen was about to go downstairs, the housekeeper stopped him. Qiu Chen's tone was not very good. What? Miss, please change your clothes. You can't wear pajamas during breakfast. Oh. Qiu Chen turned around and went back to his room, sighing in his heart that rich people have so many things to do, while he slammed the door shut. Back in the bedroom, Qiu Chen opened the closet. I chose a pair of jeans and a grey kitten short-sleeved top. It's really hot to wear jeans in this weather, but who cares if it's because he's on his period now? One lie always needs to be covered up by countless lies. After changing his clothes, Qiu Chen stood in front of the stereoscope and looked at himself. Very beautiful. To be precise, Nzijin is very beautiful. Even without clothes to contrast, Nzijin's appearance is still first class. Qiu Chen turned around and prepared to go out. Suddenly, he stopped. I seem to have forgotten something. He walked to the closet, opened the bottom drawer, and took out something that every girl must have: underwear. He doesn't wear this thing and has never worn it. But he could fumble it into place. Just put the hook on the button and it should be done. Qiu Chen took out a white one and tried to put it on his chest. Why, it can't be buttoned. Qiu Chen's mind was filled with doubts. Is it too small? Thinking of this, he changed to a light blue one. According to the "my eyes are ruler" lore, the light blue one is slightly larger than the white one. Can I wear it this time? 3 minutes later, the busy Master Qiu finally opened the door and walked out. His face was rosy and very cute. Looking at the blushing Nzijin, the housekeeper was full of confusion. She also knew that she couldn't ask too many questions because of her status. Miss, the lady is waiting for you downstairs. Qiu Chen went downstairs and walked towards the living room. He touched his face and it was as hot as if he had a fever. There's really nothing we can do about it. The main reason is that Nzijin's body is too tempting. Qiu Chen also saw things he shouldn't have seen. Chapter 23. Some are happy, some are sad. Qiu Chen raised his head and yawned. Looking at the unfamiliar environment and the 2 empty buckets of instant noodles placed around him, Nzijin woke up instantly. She picked up her phone and took a picture of her face. Looking at this extremely familiar face, Nzijin stood up, his facial expression changing several times, and finally stopped at joy. The body has changed. Nzijin ran into the bathroom and looked at Qiu Chen in the mirror. She pinched the flesh on her face hard. Not a dream. It's true. Hey. Nzijin used Qiu Chen's body to smile evilly for no reason. Qiu Chen, I'm sorry. She had no worries at all about the first body swap, and now she wished she could stay in Qiu Chen's body forever. There was no patent to this sudden body swap, and Zejin had no intention of finding one. At this moment, she had only one thought: take advantage of Qiu Chen's body and have some fun. For example, eat a spicy hot pot first, then drink a bottle of iced drink. Wow, just thinking about it makes me happy. And Zejin did not try to cover her voice when she spoke, and her shouting woke up Wang Tong, who was sleeping in bed with his clothes on. Chen, brother Chen. Wang Tong rubbed his eyes and sat up. The sky is falling. At this time, Zejin noticed that the place he was in seemed to be a hotel, and there were 2 desktop computers in addition to the bed. Is this what boys call an esports hotel? This was the first time Zejin saw him. Brother Chen. No. It's okay. Aren't you sleepy? Wang Tong took out his phone and checked the time. Brother Chen, I feel like I just fell asleep. You go to sleep first. And Zejin said, I'll play by myself for a while. Good. Wang Tong responded. He covered his head with a thin blanket and continued to sleep. Seeing Wang Tong snoring, Zejin walked carefully to the bathroom, closed the soundproof door, and prepared to take off his clothes and take a shower. Mingming Qiu Chen used his body to stay up all night, and Zejin's soul also stayed up all night. But for some reason, Zejin was not sleepy at all at this moment. Her mind was full of how to use Qiu Chen's body to have fun after taking a bath. With this thought in mind, Zejin took off Qiu Chen's shirt. Looking down at his strong chest, Zejin fell into a long silence. Then she closed her eyes and put Qiu Chen's clothes back on. Bath? There's no way to wash it. Zejin was embarrassed to look at even an ordinary chest, let alone the boxer briefs and the contents inside. Why doesn't Qiu Chen take a shower? Zejin clearly remembered that Qiu Chen's original words were: it's summer now, and I usually take a shower 3 times a day, once in the morning when I wake up, once in the evening when I get home, and once at night when I go to bed. But now Zejin felt that Qiu Chen's body was very sticky, just like the feeling of clothes being wet and dry, dry and wet again. According to Zejin's judgment, Qiu Chen definitely did not take a shower last night. In other words, what Qiu Chen said about taking a bath 3 times a day was false. Zejin stomped her feet and walked out of the bathroom. She picked up Qiu Chen's phone, unlocked it using facial recognition, and then edited a message and sent it to herself. Are you awake? As soon as he finished speaking, Zejin felt that his words were a bit redundant. Just because of his mother and the group of housekeepers at home, Qiu Chen can't continue to sleep in bed now. They won't let him sleep in. Whether you're studying or practicing guitar, just pretend to be very serious and don't do it yourself. If you have any tricky questions, you can secretly message me. If it really doesn't work, just pretend to be sick. They generally won't make things difficult for me when I'm sick. After thinking for a while, Zejin added the last sentence. She took a bath last night. Qiu Chen should be feeling very comfortable today. At least he won't be like her, smelling and feeling extremely uncomfortable. After putting down his phone, Zejin suddenly realized a problem. At home, I need to eat breakfast. And the mother hated her daughter who ate breakfast in her pajamas. She would definitely ask Zejin to change out of her pajamas. So, here comes the question. How does Qiu Chen change clothes for his body? You know, I don't have the habit of wearing underwear when I sleep. Zejin grabbed a handful of her short hair in annoyance. Then, he sighed softly, oh, forget it. Just watch it. Just like Qiu Chen said, body swapping is a foregone conclusion and a fact that cannot be changed. If that's the case, just accept it. How to say it, Zejin always thought that he took advantage of Qiu Chen. Because the people in her family are really difficult to get along with. She knows it very well. Zejin waited for a long time, but Qiu Chen didn't reply. It looks like he is eating. This was Zejin's guess, because her mother's requirement was, no playing with mobile phones while eating. I didn't dare take a bath, but I could brush my teeth and wash my face. After packing up simply, Zejin took Qiu Chen's phone and left the hotel. She wants to have breakfast. After eating home-cooked food for a long time, she found that the buns sold outside were better than those at home. Boss, give me a tray of buns. Okay, young man, sit down and wait for a while. Good. Zejin didn't wait here, she went to the supermarket next door and bought a can of iced Coke. In the past, she would never have dared to use her body to drink iced drinks early in the morning. Even though it's summer now. When Nzajin came back, her buns were ready. Young man, the buns are hot, eat slowly. Okay, boss. Nzajin found a seat and sat down, eating a bun and sipping a Coke, which was the most unique thing about the bun shop. Before leaving, she did not forget to bring a drawer for Wang Tong. No matter what, Wang Tong played an indispensable role in the improvement of her relationship with Qiu Chen. Looking at everything around him, Nzajin felt in a good mood. Since you can't see the stars with your own body, use Qiu Chen's body to take a good look at the night sky. Nzajin was happy, but Qiu Chen was about to cry. He sat face to face with Nzajin's mother and couldn't even find a chance to take a nap during the meal. Looking around, there was a lot of food on the table. But each portion is pitifully small. Balanced nutrition. Fuck balanced nutrition. What is the point of having a balanced diet if I can't even get full? Looking at the food in front of him, Qiu Chen thought about it and decided to pick up the peeled egg and put it into his mouth. Don't like eating. I like it. Qiu Chen swallowed the egg in one gulp and answered against his conscience. Eat slowly, the mother snapped. Then she pushed her share of eggs in front of Qiu Chen. Maybe I don't feel like eating eggs this morning. Maybe it was because he saw that Nzajin was hungry. Whatever the reason, the mother gave her share of eggs to Qiu Chen. Looking at the eggs in front of him, Qiu Chen was stunned. At first, he thought that there was no family affection or love in Nzajin's family, and that his mother allowed Nzajin to develop in many aspects in order to make up for the regrets of her youth. Now it seems that mother loves Nzajin. It's just that this love is too extreme, too twisted, too heavy, too suffocating. In other words, she loves the daughter she imagined and expected. She had extremely high expectations of Nzajin, but once these expectations were not met by Nzajin, her emotions would involuntarily turn into anger. He didn't consider Nzajin's feelings at all. After eating, go to your room and do your homework. A teacher will come to check it later. Chapter 24 Tutor. Teacher. Qiu Chen was stunned. Nzajin never said that she has a tutor. Guitar piano teacher, yoga teacher, tutor. No, don't you rich people like to hire so many teachers? Can't understand. I understand, Mom. Qiu Chen had no appetite for the food on the table. He finished the glass of milk in front of him, said hello to his mother, and turned to go upstairs. The mother said nothing, and her face showed no movement. But after Qiu Chen left, the mother stared at Nzajin's back in a daze. By the way, where is Nzajin's father? Qiu Chen thought of this question after returning to his room. He seemed to have never heard Nzajin mention his father. I'll ask when I get a chance. After figuring this out, Qiu Chen dug out his phone from the bed and unlocked it by scanning his face. At this time, messages popped up one after another. But when Qiu Chen clicked on the messages sent by the friend named Morning, he found that these messages were all sent half an hour ago. I don't know why, but Nzajin's phone just received the message now. Qiu Chen simply went through the message. Nzajin didn't send any important content, just some instructions. He held the phone in both hands, preparing to change the 26-key key to a 9-key key for typing, when Qing Chen sent another message to Qiu Chen. Early morning, Nzajin, there is no money left in your phone, not a single cent. Nzajin, pictures. Qiu Chen, that shouldn't be the case. I remember there were still 15 yuan. Nzajin, I had steamed buns this morning and bought a can of Coke. Nzajin, sorry GIF. Qiu Chen, I remember a tray of buns cost 6 yuan. Did you eat 2 trays? Nzajin, I bought a drawer for Wang Tong. Qiu Chen, thumbs up emoticon pack. Nzajin, I can't eat lunch. Qiu Chen, there's nothing we can do about that. Nzajin, my payment password is 1703. Please transfer some money to me. I'm going to have hot pot at noon. Qiu Chen, how much? Nzajin, how many more do I have above me? Qiu Chen, let me take a look. He clicked on Service and took a look. The balance in his wallet was 19,523.45, which was a really large amount. Qiu Chen, there are still 19,523.45 yuan. Nzajin, please transfer 1,500 to me. Qiu Chen, transfer 1,500 yuan. He didn't say anything polite to Nzajin, because the money originally belonged to Nzijin. And Nzijin didn't bother to be polite with Qiu Chen. She was just satisfying her craving for food, and in the end, the body that was maintained was still Qiu Chen's. After transferring the money, Qiu Chen took Nzijin's phone and started to watch TikTok before the tutor arrived. As soon as I opened a certain audio app, the first video pushed to Qiu Chen by the system was the words of the up host, "Next, I will teach all the boys how to attract the attention of rich women and be supported by them." When seeing this video, Qiu Chen frowned. His mind wanted to swipe away, but his hands didn't want to. And just like that, he finished watching the video. In fact, it's useless. It would be better to use Nzijin's phone to transfer some money to your own phone. Just like what happened just now, that's called being kept. Boom boom boom. "Miss, are you free? The teacher is here." "Where is the teacher?" Hearing the housekeeper's voice, Qiu Chen opened the door. "I'm waiting for you in the small study next to the piano room." The butler pointed to the small study. "Okay." Qiu Chen took Nzijin's completed test paper and went straight to the small study room. He didn't know what test papers the tutor had asked Nzijin to do, but he just took all the papers Nzijin had completed, so there would be no problem. I guess Nzijin stayed up late to finish these test papers. When he reached the door, Qiu Chen was ready to open it and go in. Suddenly, he felt that this was very rude. Given Nzijin's personality, she would not do such a thing. So Qiu Chen reached out and knocked on the door gently. This is a very strange thing. The tutor was obviously hired by his mother, but in the end, Qiu Chen felt that her status was higher than his. And Nzijin doesn't have the dignity of the wealthy ladies in novels at all. "Come in." Qiu Chen opened the door and walked into the room. Compared to music teachers, tutors are much more normal. She is very young, and looks to be in her 20s. He is most likely a graduate student or a top graduate from a 985 university. "Nzijin, have you finished the test paper I discussed with you on the phone last night?" "I'm done, teacher." Qiu Chen handed the test paper that Nzijin had finished staying up late to the teacher. The teacher took the test paper, glanced at it, and nodded slightly. "You did a great job, and your handwriting is very neat. Keep up this momentum. As long as you can successfully hold onto the college entrance examination, it will be no problem to get into a 985 university." "Thank you, teacher." "Okay, do your homework. If you have any questions, ask me." The young teacher smiled and said, "I am only 5 years older than you this year. Essentially speaking, we are of the same generation. You don't have to be so polite in future exchanges. Just treat me as your friend." After saying that, the teacher handed Qiu Chen a real Chinese test paper. Nzijin had already finished the physics and math questions, and the young teacher seemed to want Nzijin to do a Chinese test to relax. "Good." Qiu Chen responded. It is not up to him to decide whether to be friends or not, it all depends on Nzijin's opinion. What he had to do was to prevent the young teacher from finding out the floor. Qiu Chen can do the questions, but he can pretend. But it may be difficult for you to get Qiu Chen to do the right thing. The young teacher was reading a book with his head down, glancing at Qiu Chen from time to time. Qiu Chen was seen sitting upright on the chair, staring at the test paper on the table seriously. He was meticulous and there was no sign of anything unusual. Qiu Chen was also a top student in the past few years, so he certainly knew what the correct sitting posture for an excellent student was. As long as the young teacher didn't stare at Qiu Chen while she was doing her homework, she would never notice anything unusual. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. Time flies. Maybe because he didn't eat enough in the morning, Qiu Chen's stomach started to growl at this moment. The young teacher put down the textbook and turned to look at Qiu Chen. "Are you hungry?" She looked puzzled. "Somewhat." Qiu Chen answered truthfully. Physically, his name is Nzijin. In spirit, his name is Qiu Chen. Qiu Chen was really hungry. He also wanted to eat hot pot like Nzijin. "Give you a piece of bread." The young teacher pulled a sandwich out of his bag and said, "Just give me the garbage bag when you're done. I'll take it away after get off work." She seemed to know that Nzijin's mother didn't allow Nzijin to eat these snacks and the like. "Thank you, teacher." "You're welcome. Come on and eat." The morning time passed quickly. Qiu Chen resisted the urge to sleep and finished a Chinese test paper. then hand it over to the young teacher. The teacher took a look at the test paper and found no major problems, just a lot of minor flaws. Also, the handwriting looked very strange, as if it was forced to be written in regular script. Under Qiu Chen's gaze, the young teacher returned the test paper to Qiu Chen. Next time I will explain to you the questions you got wrong. Zijin, behave well this afternoon. After saying that, the young teacher stuffed the bread garbage bag into his school bag and stood up to leave. Afternoon. Qiu Chen's heart skipped a beat. There won't be a new teacher this afternoon, right? One teacher for Chinese, physics and mathematics. One teacher for English, biology and chemistry. Qiu Chen suddenly had a bad feeling. Chapter 25 Secretly Ordering Takeaway. On the other hand, Zijin doesn't have as many worries as Qiu Chen. The morning time is spent playing with mobile phone, watching movies and chasing TV series. Compared with his previous life, Qiu Chen's weekend is really quiet and comfortable. No homework to do and no one to send messages to. Zijin felt that this was the life she wanted. Walking down the street, she found a hot pot restaurant that looked pretty good. She wanted to treat Qiu Chen to a good meal at noon today. At this time, Wang Tong was still catching up on his sleep and he had no plans to eat lunch. Looking at the slightly shabby hot pot restaurant in front of him, Zijin walked in. She didn't know whether this kind of shop was clean or not, but it shouldn't be okay to use Qiu Chen's body, right? In Zijin's eyes, Qiu Chen is the strongest. A little bit of unclean junk food will not affect his body. It seems that Qiu Chen is the worst off. The soul is destroyed and the body is destroyed. The prices near Qiu Chen community are very cheap, and a hot pot meal doesn't cost much. Zijin ordered some meat and vegetables based on Qiu Chen's appetite, and she didn't even spend 100 of the 1,500 yuan she came for. The rest lay quietly in Qiu Chen's wallet. After dinner, Wang Tong sent a message to Qiu Chen, saying that he had checked out of the esports hotel and wanted to go home to catch up on some sleep. Zijin took Qiu Chen's phone and replied with an okay. It is concise and to the point, which fits Qiu Chen's image very well. On their way back, Zijin bought a new set of toothbrush and toothpaste, as well as a pack of face towels. If she couldn't change back tonight, she might need to wash or even take a shower on Qiu Chen's body. There is really no way around it. It's Qiu Chen's fault for not taking a shower last night, which is why he is all sticky now. Although it is not very smelly, there is still a slight odor of 40%. On their way home, Zijin bought some fried snacks. These things were what she wanted to eat but didn't dare to eat before, for fear of her mother's scolding and of getting stomach upset. However, she is now using Qiu Chen's body, so naturally she doesn't have this worry. She can eat whatever she wants and drink whatever she wants. Just like when they were eating hot pot just now, she drank 4 or 5 bottles of iced cola, iced Sprite and other cold drinks. It's really cool. After having a pleasant lunch, Zijin went home contentedly. She has a good memory and basically never forgets a route she has walked. As soon as he got home, Qiu Chen's cell phone rang. She scanned her face to unlock it. This is a message from Zijin. Qiu Chen, no, how many tutors do you have? Zijin, there are 3 cultural subjects. Qiu Chen, Chinese, physics and mathematics are 1, what about the rest? Zijin, 1 in English and 1 in biochemistry. Zijin, who did you meet today? Qiu Chen, the one teaching Chinese, physics and mathematics, a relatively young female teacher. Zijin, that's not so bad. What I dislike most is the English tutor. We have to communicate in English in every class and I feel it's very tiring to speak English. Qiu Chen, it's very tiring. Putting down his phone, he slumped over the table in despair. Communicate in English? This would be more painful than killing him. Not to mention communicating in English, he couldn't even repeat English or even recognize a large number of English words. It's over. Qiu Chen felt that the afternoon was about to end. There is no way to avoid being scolded, but I hope nothing will be discovered. Zijin, can you? Hearing a ding-ling sound, Qiu Chen picked up the phone and replied. Qiu Chen, no. Qiu Chen, what are you doing? Are you taking advantage of my body to enjoy yourself? Zijin, picture. Zijin, I just bought some fried snacks. Qiu Chen. There is no such thing as a peaceful life, it's just that someone is moving forward with a heavy burden. This person is yourself. Qiu Chen really felt that Zijian's life as a young lady was worse than his own poor life. At least, he was happy when he used his body. Although I was a little poor, I could eat delicious junk food every day, play my favorite games, not worry about my studies, and have no pressure from my parents. Thinking about it now, Qiu Chen felt that he was a bit ungrateful at the time. And Zijin, if you have English class in the afternoon, remember to search for simple English greetings on the internet in advance, and just fool around with the rest. Qiu Chen, it's a bit difficult. And Zijin, come on, if you have any questions, please send me a message. Qiu Chen. Why did he feel that Zijin was just being perfunctory? In fact, that's right. After Zijin sent Qiu Chen away, he began to enjoy the fried snacks he had bought, accompanied by an unparalleled iced drink. And Zijin swore that this was the most delicious thing she had ever eaten, bar none. Qiu Chen is in good health and can eat so many delicious foods every day. Happiness is conserved. When some people are happy, some people are unhappy. For example, Qiu Chen inside Zijin's body. Well, Qiu Chen put down his phone and went downstairs to have a meal. 10 minutes later, he touched his empty stomach and returned to the bedroom. The lunch today was just okay, but the quantity was too small. For Qiu Chen, who had been hungry for the whole morning, it was not enough to fill his stomach. He wanted to add more food, but couldn't. Because their housekeeper would say, "Miss, the most important thing about lunch is quality, not quantity, and balanced nutrition is the most important." He said a lot of useless things. Very annoying. Qiu Chen lay on the bed, looking at the ceiling with a look of despair. I feel sleepy and hungry. He couldn't hold on any longer. Picking up the phone, Qiu Chen took a look at the picture of fried snacks sent by Zijin. Gudong. He swallowed. To be honest, he wants to eat too. Suddenly, Qiu Chen had a strange idea. Could he order takeout secretly? Then he asked the delivery guy to leave the food at the door and he went out to get it. Thinking of this, Qiu Chen became energetic. He sat up straight and took out Zijin's phone to order takeout. It is worth mentioning that she does not have "Are You Hungry?" or "Ugly Group" on her mobile phone. Qiu Chen downloaded an app from the App Store by scanning his face. Then, he opened the "Are You Hungry?" app and ordered a pork trotter rice. He repeatedly told the boss and the riders not to knock on the door, make any noise, or even make phone calls, and just put it in a more secluded location at the door. Just like that, with an uneasy mood, Qiu Chen waited for his pork trotter rice. Qiu Chen walked out of the room and looked downstairs. Most of the housekeepers were resting at this time. Only a small number of mid-shift housekeepers were tidying up the rooms and cleaning. They were quite respectful to Zijin and greeted him when they saw him coming downstairs. Qiu Chen nodded slightly, and while they were not paying attention, he quickly opened the door, then walked quickly to the front door and secretly took the wrapped pork trotter rice that did not emit any smell into his room. No one saw this scene. At least in Qiu Chen's world, no housekeeper noticed him. Returning to the bedroom, Qiu Chen locked the door. Tear the chopsticks apart and put them into your mouth. He thought he was careful enough, but in fact, someone still noticed him. The person was in a room on the second floor. Through the window, she saw the whole process of Qiu Chen sneaking out and sneaking back. In response, she just had a little confusion on her face and did not take any action. It seems that he condoned Zijin's behavior. Chapter 26 Communicating in English. After eating, Qiu Chen put the garbage into a sanitary bag. In order to prevent others from smelling the pork trotter rice, he tied the bag tightly, sprayed some perfume on the outside, and finally applied a layer of shower gel. Then he handed the sanitary bag to the housekeeper and asked her to help deal with it. Qiu Chen quietly watched her throw the sanitary bag into the big garbage bag and breathed a sigh of relief. As long as no one finds out, the matter of stealing the pig's trotter rice will be over. As for why not handle it yourself? Because most of the housekeepers have already started work at this time, if Qiu Chen goes out, he will definitely be discovered. The lunch break passed in a flash. Qiu Chen was a little sleepy and tired, but at least his stomach was full. If Zijin's body didn't have a small appetite, Qiu Chen would have been able to eat more pork trotter rice. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. Miss, the English teacher is waiting for you in the study. Hearing this familiar voice, Qiu Chen knew that his nightmare had begun. It was this housekeeper who always asked Qiu Chen to go out. He didn't know the housekeeper's name yet. Of course, he had no interest in knowing. Qiu Chen was quite curious. Was she their alarm clock, specially arranged by An's mother to be next to An's Jean? How come you are always so punctual? Okay, wait a moment, I'll be right there. After answering softly, Qiu Chen went to the bathroom to brush his teeth. Taboo. The person who used this toothbrush before was An's Jean, and he is still An's Jean now. Since it is An's Jean's body, there is no need to be shy about it. Qiu Chen opened the door and looked at the housekeeper. When the housekeeper saw Qiu Chen for the first time, she greeted him first and then pointed to the study room, which was completely opposite to the small study room she had used in the morning. Miss, it's this room. Yeah, okay. Qiu Chen walked to the door of the study. The door was not closed, leaving a gap. He peeked inside through the crack in the door. The English teacher in the room looked quite old, and his grey hair was quite similar to Qiu Chen's physics teacher. He was estimated to be over 50 years old, probably in his 50s. Jingle. At this time, the cell phone in Qiu Chen's pocket rang. Just as he was about to mute himself and go back in, the English teacher in the room suddenly spoke up. You're already at the door, why don't you come in? Time is money, and money can't buy time. You should cherish your time now. Okay, teacher. Qiu Chen turned his phone to silent mode, reached out to push open the door, and looked at the English teacher not far away. The next moment, the teacher also turned his head and looked at Qiu Chen. There was no trace of kindness in her old eyes, but instead they were filled with ferocity, as if she was silently reproaching Qiu Chen for being late. Suddenly, Qiu Chen felt a chill on his back and his legs suddenly felt a little weak. To be precise, it was An's Jean's legs that were going weak. Qiu Chen remembered An's Jean saying that this English teacher was annoying. After taking a look at Qiu Chen, she retracted her gaze and said, children of your age just don't know how to cherish time. When you grow up and become sensible, you will regret it. By then, it will be too late to say anything. Qiu Chen didn't respond to this, because he had heard it from his head teacher so many times that his ears were almost calloused. Can you be a little bit innovative? Now, let the class begin. Yes, teacher. How did I teach you? The English teacher glared at Qiu Chen. Speak as I taught you. Qiu Chen didn't quite understand at first, but suddenly an idea flashed through his mind. He thought of what An's Jean had told him this afternoon. Say hello in English. Good afternoon, teacher. Good afternoon, An's Jean. The English teacher finished speaking and slapped the table. Give me the English paper you wrote yesterday so I can check it. Also, you have to communicate with me in English throughout today. You can ask if you don't know a word, but you must be bold in expressing yourself. Okay, teacher. Qiu Chen was already prepared. He took out the English test paper from a stack of papers and walked over to hand it to the English teacher. Last night, An's Jean worked all night to finish almost all the papers. Therefore, Qiu Chen didn't need to write anything today. He just needed to pretend and not be noticed by the teacher. The English teacher was checking the test papers. Qiu Chen sat upright at the table, writing every stroke very carefully. When doing English reading comprehension, he would circle the article to show that he was thinking seriously. Qiu Chen often does this when making rubbings of students' English test papers. 3 minutes later, the English teacher returned the graded paper to Qiu Chen. Not bad, there is still a lot of room for improvement in composition. During this period, you can memorize a few full-score essays from the college entrance examination to get a feel for it and raise your composition score. There is no big problem with your English, I hope you can keep it up. Thank you, teacher. Call. Fortunately, it's all simple English. I learned it in junior high school. Qiu Chen hasn't forgotten everything yet. Show me the reading comprehension you just did. Yes. Qiu Chen swallowed silently. With trembling hands, I handed the English test paper to the teacher. How can he do reading comprehension? There were 4 options in total, and he guessed 3. Not that he would make one, but that one he hadn't had time to cover yet. After looking at the 3 questions done by Qiu Chen, the English teacher frowned. You only got 1 right out of 3. How did you do that? The old woman turned her head and looked at Qiu Chen. Her eyes were fierce, as if she wanted to eat someone. I was just praising you, but now it seems that your luck played a big role in that test paper. The old woman's face was full of doubt, you didn't do these questions at all, but you searched them using the question searching software. Teacher, please, believe me. You do the D essay. If you can get 3 of them right, I'll believe you. Sure. Does Qiu Chen have any basics? At most, I have some basic knowledge of junior high school English. He didn't learn any English in high school. He played with his phone in the back of every English class. It's not difficult to pretend to be in a learning state. But it is very difficult to get the English questions right. Qiu Chen took the English test paper and read the D essay very carefully. Most of the vocabulary was obscure to him, and he could only understand a small number of words. By doing the reading comprehension questions so carefully, Qiu Chen successfully answered the first and second questions. The old woman standing next to him nodded slightly. Although the speed of answering the questions is a bit slow, the accuracy is still quite high. With a little training, the speed can be improved. However, the old woman soon realized that something was wrong. She fixed her gaze on Qiu Chen's profile, her eyes became fierce, and her voice was cold. Are you sleepy? Chapter 27. I miss you, want to stick with you. There was visible fatigue on Qiu Chen's face. He stayed up all night last night, and didn't take a break at noon today. If it weren't for Nzijin, he would have given up long ago. That's Qiu Chen doesn't know if this English collocation is correct. He wanted to express that he was a little sleepy, but he didn't know how to say it. Hold on. The English teacher patted Qiu Chen on the shoulder and said, You are at the age when you should work hard. Only the struggle in your youth can bring you joy in the rest of your life. Her words were righteous and awe-inspiring, but to Qiu Chen's ears, he just felt that she was talking without any worries. What a shitty poisonous chicken soup. He didn't know how to drink before, and he knows even less now. Don't make that expression. I'm doing this for your own good. You don't understand me now, but you will understand me later. Everything you do now is for your future self. For my own good. Will you understand later? Future? He. Everyone says it's for my own good, but who really does it for my own good? Leaving me with endless homework every day is for my own good. Eating a meager meal every day is good for me. Making all kinds of unnecessary rules every day is for my own good. Qiu Chen does not deny that these things must have their reasons for existence, but he denies that these things are not necessary in a person's life development. It can even be completely discarded. It's not worth Nzijin's risk, not to mention that it would cost a young life. Qiu Chen pinched his fingers, and his other hand holding the pen trembled slightly. He really wanted to resist. Resist for Nzijin and for my former self. But in the end, he suppressed the impulse in his heart. Nzijin would never do such a thing. She is very obedient. Qiu Chen will continue to fulfill the terms of the agreement and play the role of Nzijin conscientiously. Teacher, I want to go to the WC. Don't you know how to say toilet? Read after me, toilet. Toilet. Well, go ahead. Qiu Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead, walked quickly back to his room, and quickly took out his cell phone to send a message to Nzijin. Qiu Chen, come on, help me, help me. I don't know if I was led astray by the old woman, but Qiu Chen now wants to write a few sentences in English every time he types. Nzijin sent many messages to Qiu Chen, but the latter had no time to read them now. Nzijin, what happened? Voice. Their voice sounded weak. Qiu Chen didn't transcribe the text because he was in a hurry. Qiu Chen, how to write the essay. Nzijin, which English test paper? Seeing that Qiu Chen was in trouble, Nzijin became extremely nervous. Qiu Chen, I don't know. Nzijin, don't worry, let me think. I have a set of English test papers. I just finished one yesterday, and today I will definitely finish the next chapter. Nzijin, give me 5 minutes, I'll go look for it. Qiu Chen, okay. 5 minutes later, Nzijin found it. Nzijin, D short essay, the options are C, A, D, A. The English test paper is real, so Nzijin is not afraid that the order will be changed. As long as Qiu Chen pretends to be nice, he can get away with this short article. Nzijin, let S go later. Nzijin, the ABC essays are DCB, ADAB, and CBCD. Nzijin, pick a few and memorize them. The accuracy doesn't have to be 100%, as long as it can reach above 90%, your English teacher will not doubt you. She was afraid that Qiu Chen would be blamed by the old woman, so just in case, she simply told Qiu Chen the answers to all 4 essays. How much he can remember depends on Qiu Chen's memory. Qiu Chen, okay. He put his phone in his pocket, took a deep breath, and went back to dealing with the unpleasant old woman across the street. Like Zijian's mother, she is very traditional and old-fashioned. It's as if the development of the new era did not bring them along. He sticks to his own opinions when speaking and doing things, and simply won't listen to other people's opinions or suggestions. Qiu Chen sat on the chair and finished writing the D essay with all his might. The old woman stood behind Qiu Chen and nodded. Okay, do it yourself. In this way, Qiu Chen sat and worked seriously for the whole afternoon, and finally he dealt with the old woman vaguely. Goodbye, teacher. Bye. Watching the old woman leave, Qiu Chen breathed a sigh of relief. This way of learning English without treating yourself as a human being is really stressful. Qiu Chen returned to his room and washed his face with cold water. It's almost time for dinner. To be honest, I ate pork stomach and chicken using Zijian's body at noon, and I'm not that hungry now. Just as Qiu Chen was about to take out his cell phone to look through the chat history that Zijian had sent him, the familiar housekeeper came. Boom boom boom. Miss, Madam asks you to come downstairs to help with cooking. Here it comes. Qiu Chen didn't know how to cook, but since his mother had spoken, he had no choice but to go downstairs to the kitchen. Zijian held the phone in his hand, waiting boredly for Qiu Chen's reply. She lay on the bed with a distorted face. Stomachache. She thought Qiu Chen was very strong and sturdy, but she didn't expect that he was only slightly better than her. He would get diarrhea if he ate any fried food or drank any iced drink. In just one afternoon, she had already gone to the bathroom 4 times. She wanted to ask Qiu Chen what was going on and what to do. After all, this was Qiu Chen's body, and he must know it better than she did. However, Qiu Chen never replied. The only message sent was asking about questions on the English test paper. At this time, the English teacher should have left. Maybe she is helping her mother cook. Ding-ling tilde tilde. Just as he was thinking about it, Zijian's cell phone rang. She quickly opened her cell phone to see what Qiu Chen had sent her. But after seeing the news, Zijian frowned. The person who sent her the message was not Qiu Chen, but a friend named Qian Sherwan, whose avatar was a very cute anime girl's head. Qian Sherwan, Brother Chen, I miss you and want to be close to you. Zijian's brows were never relaxed. She clicked on the profile picture and circle of friends of Qian Sherwan. She asked herself, there was no such person on her number. Either they were Qiu Chen's online friends, or classmates from other classes that she didn't know. But there is nothing in the circle of friends, it is empty. Why say, I miss you? Are they two lovers? Zijian's heart skipped a beat. She had never heard that Qiu Chen had a girlfriend. When did this happen? I just found it when I changed my body back yesterday. Zijian wanted to look up the chat history, but Qiu Chen had the habit of clearing chat sessions, which resulted in Zijian finding nothing. There's a ghost. There must be something fishy going on if you delete chat history for no reason. At this moment, a girl who was prettier, cuter and gentler than herself suddenly appeared in Zijian's mind. She often came to see Qiu Chen, and then slept in the arms of Qiu Chen, who lived alone. Suddenly, Zijian felt her hands become very weak and she could hardly hold the phone. Qian Sherwan, Brother Chen, why don't you reply to my message? Is it because you don't love me anymore? Qian Sherwan, but it doesn't matter, Brother Chen, I love you. Hiss. Zijian took a breath of cold air. Does Qiu Chen like such direct girls? Looking at the message sent by Qian Sherwan, it's not that she didn't want to reply, but she didn't know how to reply. If Qian Sherwan is Qiu Chen's partner, according to the agreement, she needs to maintain Qiu Chen's relationship. Even though she didn't want to. Jingle. Seeing that Qiu Chen did not reply to the message, Qian Sherwan directly made a voice call. Do they sleep with the microphone connected at night? This was Zijian's first reaction. Then, for some unknown reason, Zijian pressed the answer button. Hello? Brother Chen. Hearing this familiar voice, Zijian let out a long sigh. It turned out to be Wang Tong. Zijian suddenly felt at ease. Fortunately, this person is Wang Tong. Fortunately, Qiu Chen did not fall in love too early.